What is good? Welcome into the first episode of The Boys in the Back. I'll tell you what's good, Rick.
What is good?
The boys are back in town.
We're back, baby.
The Boys in the Back got a show on Uncrowned. How do you like that rhyming there? I feel like we got to address a couple things off top.
Yeah.
Oh, what is good? You hear them in your ear?
Yeah.
Yeah. We're just gonna ignore them there. Rough start here. We got to address a couple things off the top. No music. I feel like we were inspired by Brandon Royval yesterday, the Raw Dog, so we decided to Raw Dog the intro. In all honesty, our music has not been cleared yet, so we just had to come in clean for that one.
We'll bring up something good soon.
Next week we'll have our music. It's kind of cold open off the top. Second thing we have to address here.
Hit me.
You just missed the memo, man? We talked about it all week. We were going to wear tuxedos.
Yeah, so about that, I just forgot. And
you actually said last night before we left the studio, I was just like, remember, dude, we're going to do tuxedos. You can do your little dragon ass. You can do the tuxedo t-shirt. You can still be comfortable. I'll do the whole fit, the gold watch, everything. I'll look fantastic. I look like I'm hosting the Oscars here. We get into New York City this morning. First thing you tell me, you forgot the tuxedo.
I think we need to pull back the curtain even further. Yesterday, around maybe this time, maybe a little later, I said explicitly to you, I'm going to forget this. I need you to text me to remind me. And you said, I got you.
Yeah, all right. I forgot to send the reminder text. Here
I rest my case.
Here we are, cold open, no music to start. I'm the only one in a tuxedo. Frank didn't wear his either.
No, he did. He changed.
Oh, I must have missed him. I must have missed him. So cold open. I'm the only one in the tuxedo. But man, look at this set. Look at the red. Look at the boys got branding. Look at our faces in the desk right here.
It's pretty nice.
We've come a long way. I think it was about this time last year that we were rocking the Helwani plaid, the glasses and everything like that.
Yeah,
and now we've come to our own. I mean, you guys asked. I'm not really sure why you guys asked for it so much, but we listened. I guess Helwani listened more, and now here we are. Now we got our own show. Boys in the Back every Thursday, 1 o'clock right here. We will be going live. I guess I feel like we'll be looking ahead to the weekend. We'll be talking bets. We'll be previewing everything to come. I mean, this weekend we got a massive slate of PFL. Next weekend we got pay-per-view. So we're always going to have something to talk about, react to what was going on during the week, and kind of just have some fun, man. Helwani likes to say let his hair down. I feel like we're really going to be letting our hair down on this one.
Yeah, I think we're going to give a little more of the behind-the-scenes look than people have been used to. We're gonna peel back the curtain a little bit more and keep it irreverent and keep it fun.
All right, so what do we have planned for today's show?
Let's get into that.
We're getting our first guest on the Boys in the Back. We're just knocking that one out
off jump.
Early, right off the jump. Oscar Willis, the undefeated bare-knuckle boxer, coming off a massive first-round knockout of our friend, the one, Ben the Bane Davis. An unbelievable performance by Oscar. We'll get to talk to him. A lot of interactions with Conor McGregor. Dan Hooker in the corner, and obviously a fantastic performance by him, so we'll get to hear all about it in just about 10 minutes. And then we want to introduce, because obviously we're the Boys in the Back, we're typically the producers of the show. Later on, we're going to meet one of the producers for the Boys in the Back, an up-and-coming young kid, hungry as it gets, very excited for everyone to meet him. It should be fantastic. So 2 guests on the program today, and then from there, PFL. What do you think of this PFL card? I say best offering the promotion has ever put out.
Best offering the promotion has ever put out. I'd say it's comparable to the best pay-per-views that are being put on right now. I'm a fan of what they're doing with the product here, so I'm liking it. I'm excited about it. And then, naturally, as you mentioned, we're the producers. We have been hard at work at getting Helwani Vision ready for Saturday.
Yeah, which is going to be great. A lot of guests. Manning Cast-esque, as they say.
That's
people will be joining him. You'll be able to watch the fights with him on Saturday at 4 o'clock. We'll be there as well. Chael P. Rob Gronkowski is going to be in the house.
Gronk.
I mean, it's going to be fantastic. So the content just keeps coming at you guys. And 106, We still got 9 minutes to kill for Oscar Willis. Did we make a mistake here in the lineup by giving this much fill time in the lead up to Oscar?
There's lots to talk about. For starters, I'd like to maybe celebrate a little bit, gloat a little bit. I believe we have video of an event that occurred yesterday evening.
Well, to set the scene for that, if we actually do have the videos, we're in our new Yahoo studios here in Manhattan, New York, in the Yahoo offices. And something that Yahoo has, Frank loves the foosball. They got a foosball table. Every time we walk by, Frank is challenging me to a game of foosball. But they also have Pop-A-Shot. I set the high score last Friday, 53 points.
That's right.
Gloating, going around the office. No one's ever going to break this. This is the highest score that you can possibly get on this game. It's really, truly, it was a spectacle. It took me like 7 games to get 53 points. People are walking by like, wow, does this guy ever do any work, or do you just sit around and play Pop-A-Shot? And then you come in, first game, off rip, backpack on.
Jacket and backpack on.
Jacket and backpack on. About to go into a cold fall night here in New York. Smash it. 82, 85.
Baby. Ripping 85. No big deal.
You absolutely crush it. And then you put on a performance of a lifetime before we leave it.
Yeah, I was locked in. I'll admit, like, even when I'm good at the Pop-A-Shot, which I'm very good, I feel like people should know, that was one where I felt like I was in the zone. I mean, I'm looking right now at Dame Lillard. It felt like it was Dame time. Like I was locked into that level.
The form is unbelievable. Do we have the video?
I think we're getting it now. We're efforting.
Efforting. I love it. I love being on this side of it, hearing the efforting, everything like that.
If we don't, Ariel's favorite term. If we don't play it now, we'll play it later to tease the folks.
Yeah, I mean, it was unbelievable. You really are like a machine. It all comes down to the shot form, everything like that.
You posted the video of the guy, I believe he's Japanese, who is at the Pop-A-Shot machine, and just like, I've never seen anybody do it as good as that. If you type in Pop-A-Shot, like that guy will come up. It is where I learned my technique from. It is where I stole the concept of feeding the hand the other ball, and I mean, the results speak for themselves. So.
And where are the training grounds? I heard something about the Wantagh Dave & Buster's, Amityville Dave & Buster's?
There's no Wantagh or Amityville Dave & Buster's. There was a Dave & Buster's in Massapequa. Shout out to my folks in Massapequa and everybody out on Long Island. That one's closed down. The training grounds right now are like Westbury, Garden City. There's a Dave & Buster's there. But we lock in when we get to Dave & Buster's. My daughters are on it. My son is a little young, but he's starting to like pick up what's going on at these games. My wife and I have got 100,000 tickets going, so...
What can you get with 100,000 Dave & Buster tickets?
You know what's funny? I was looking at that recently. You can't even get like a PlayStation 5 at that price point.
Jeez.
You need to like double that to get a PlayStation 5. So like half a PlayStation? We're almost there.
That's incredible, man. I love Dave & Buster's. I just love arcades, period. So I'm going to have to join you sometime. I'm going to have to take a trip. I'll go into Long Island.
I love it. I would welcome the challenge, but obviously, after the performance I put up, I don't want to put any pressure and intimidate. If you don't want to play, we don't have to play. But if you want to come at the king, like, I'm ready.
All right, so we got PFL this weekend. We also have UFC Apex 99.
Before we move on to that,
oh, okay, more on your Pop-A-Shot shit.
I think we have the video already.
Okay, all right, here we go. I mean, we're off to
here we go.
We're off to just a stunner of a start.
I mean, you can see everything's in. Everyth's in. Green.
You really were making everything. The
green,
consistency
green,
also.
Green,
shot.
Green,
Shot. Also, like the integrity of your back to be able to stay hunched like that and moving this entire time is incredible.
Here's where it gets dicey, right? Because we know that there's a trigger for the extra time, and we're thinking, oh, he's not going to make it. Ariel's screaming, he's not going to make it. Guess what? I'm making it. I'm about to make it. Here we go. Extra time added on the clock. Oh, and then it just rolls from there. I don't think I miss from here on out. Just bucket.
I mean, to go from 100 to 112 in 4 seconds is truly a thing of beauty.
I mean, I don't want to, belabor the point, but I get locked in.
All right, but I can't tell you how much I love that. I absolutely cannot tell you how much I love that. That gives competition in the office. I mean, it gives us something to work for now. Now I'm going to spend long hours, long nights in the gym, in the Pop-A-Shot. I will completely lose my normal basketball shot and just to get good at the Pop-A-Shot. Because when that 112 eventually goes down, who knows if it's going to be you or if it's going to be me that's breaking it. It's going to be a really special day here at the Yahoo Sports offices.
I'm not worried that you will break it, but if you do, I'm coming back. I'll come out of retirement. But for now, I'm just going to let that sit.
Okay, I like that.
I'm not playing again. until it's broken.
I love it. All right, so I mentioned UFC Apex 99 is also happening this weekend. One away from Apex Mania, from the biggest show that Warehouse has ever seen, UFC Apex 100, that's going on in November.
You're going, I believe. We've locked this in, right?
A credential has been applied for, but man, I didn't realize how much info you have to give about yourself when you apply for these credentials. You got to be like, who's your direct manager, what the company is, what the affiliation of the company. I don't know if we're gonna get approved. I mean,
we'll see. We'll see what happens.
I mean, it's you had to put on Crowned. Who's my direct report? ArielHelwani. Yahoo Sports.
I'm not concerned. We'll get into the Apex. UFC Apex 100, baby.
I feel like I go every question. I show up to the presser and I just ask media day. Just ask every fighter how special it is to be fighting on UFC Apex.
It's the opportunity of a lifetime, and I'm sure they'll feel the same way.
Dana's love letter to the warehouse in the desert. Apex 99, though, the card is obviously, it's an Apex card. It's not the most quality card, but the main event. Flavio Hernandez versus Michel Pereira is as good of a fight as you can make for an Apex main event. I cannot wait for this one.
Yeah, it's a good matchup. It's one that's going to deliver for the fans.
Could be on a pay-per-view main card easily.
100%. Yeah, and I mean stakes, right? Like there's implications for what's going to happen from that. It feels special. UFC Apex 100. I mean, and the most special of it all is you'll be there, and we're locking that in.
Well, yeah, but that's in a few weeks. I'm talking. We still got to focus on Apex 99 this weekend.
Yeah.
But we'll get to that later. We'll get to PFL later. We'll get to all of that. We'll have some fun, answer some questions in the chat. Meet our new producer, up and coming kid. Kid's a stud. I can't wait for everyone to meet him. But
is he back there now? He's not back there now, right? No, he's not back there.
He's
no producer back
He's out there hustling. He's out there getting work done.
Okay.
He's making things happen. We were having some tech issues off the top. He's the one that has solved those.
It's a little late for him to show up, though, so maybe we have to talk to him about that when he comes in.
But before we do any of that, we have to welcome on our first guest. I feel like this is more your get here. I feel like you should do the introduction.
Sure.
This is your boy.
We're going to introduce my good friend, as you said, undefeated BKFC bare knuckle fighter, Oscar Willis. Thank you for joining us on The Boys in the Back.
Look at that transition. Look at this 3-box. Oscar, you look fantastic in here, man.
Can I also point out it's undefeated MMA fighter as well as BKFC? Don't limit the accomplishments.
Undefeated, period. Have you ever lost in anything you've ever done?
You'll have to ask a few of my ex-girlfriends, but I feel good about my achievements.
Yeah, I mean, we saw that video that you rolled in the lead-up. It looked like Bane couldn't get one in. So yeah, I mean, you are undefeated in MMA. You are undefeated in bare knuckle. Are we gonna do jiu-jitsu? Are we gonna do boxing? What else are we going into to kind of further that?
Well, first of all, thank you very much for having me on the first episode.
Yeah.
I feel very blessed, very achieved. It's a good achievement for me, so thank you. Secondly, it's funny you mentioned jiu-jitsu. I have a friend in the jiu-jitsu community who just put on an event not long ago, and I did already text him today wondering if I could maybe slide in on a second one if they happen to be doing that next year. So we'll see if I can pull something out of the hat for that one.
Does his name rhyme with Jeg Crones?
I don't know. He only speaks in Spanish now since he went to Colombia recently, so it's pretty hard to get a good answer out of him.
How could you possibly go just like from the sheer adrenaline of bare knuckle boxing to jiu-jitsu? Nothing against jiu-jitsu, but like I just can't imagine what it was like in the build-up to a bare knuckle fight and then going to do jiu-jitsu after that.
Well, I specified Craig Jones' jiu-jitsu. There's a lot of stuff you can do backstage there to get the heart rate up, so I figured that would be a little fit for me.
I have no idea what you're talking about, so we're going to move on to actually, let's look back. Let's go back to the fight, because obviously the reason we're kind of bringing you on is to talk about the bare knuckle fight. I want to go all the way back, though. How did we get from just the concept of I want to compete again to bare knuckle boxing to then bare knuckle boxing against Bane Davis? How did we take that journey?
So obviously, I think as anyone in this industry is aware, the only reason we ever do anything is for clout. And so I was desperate to get any of that. And then when Conor and the BKFC deal happened, and I was sort of looking at maybe competing again anyway, just to give myself a goal and something to do, suddenly I realized that BKFC might actually be even more sort of a statement to make, right? It's a much more sort of on the surface dangerous sport. It's a lot more sort of gruesome and exciting. And it would give me the fear to stay actually motivated to train rather than go off and get into the wilderness of Las Vegas during a camp or something. So the idea of BKFC came then. Then the idea for Bane came because I was looking around at sort of who would be able to promote it with me and make sense. And I thought that Bane travels as much as I do, one of the only other people in the sport who does travel as much as this. So I figured, okay, so if we're on the road as much as that, then both of us will have the same amount of time to train on the road. So he sort of made sense. I reached out to him, and as I think everyone on this call knows, he is an absolute fucking gamer. So it took him all of 2 seconds to say yes. And then I actually approached Bare Knuckle with both he and I and said, hey, we're both down. Would you be interested in doing that? And eventually we came to a deal, got it done. All parties were satisfied. And we rolled into Marbella, Spain, into a Coliseum to have a scrap.
Yeah, and a scrap it was. We'll get to the actual fight in a second. One thing I wanted to ask you, and so amateur move by me. Obviously, I gave you the introduction. We're talking undefeated bare knuckle fighter, undefeated MMA fighter. But what I didn't mention is, as the bio says, the Mac Life guy. But as we know you, the Mac Life's correspondent and the man behind the magic over at the Mac Life. How did you balance doing your responsibilities as a media member? Because this is kind of how the fight was built, right? Bane's involved in the media space, whether you be doing commentary or his other endeavors, and you covering the sport of MMA on a weekly basis. How did you balance those responsibilities in order to be able to still properly train for the fight and be as prepared as you were?
Well, I don't want to belittle my day job, right? But I mean, it's a very structured day job. You know, you have a media day at a certain time, press conference at a certain time, and you just get your job done, and then you go to the gym around that. That's what I did. And it sort of worked that I had a good stretch at home while I was doing this camp. So I was able to balance the Apex events because I'll be honest with you, despite, you know, some of your appreciation for the Apex events, they don't take that much work to cover. But so I was able to go around the Apex events fairly easily. And then when I was on the road, you just find a gym, make it happen. And you just go and you just make sure you get training in and kind of take a risk sparring strangers and hope they don't break your face and stuff. But yeah, I just basically made it work. And I was very grateful that I did. It was very cool. I felt in great shape when I went in there. So I would have been extra nervous if I felt I hadn't prepared at all. But I did feel quite well prepared. So I wasn't as shit scared as I could have been.
What do you make of, do you have any insight into how Bane handled that? Did you feel like he was coming with his best effort? Because obviously we saw him kind of doing some responsibilities immediately after. He's kind of all over the place doing different commentary gigs for everybody. Did you feel like you were going to get the best of him as well?
Well, so yeah, at the beginning of my camp, I was at home for 3 weeks, and at the end of his, he was at home for 3 weeks. So I got a strong start. He got a strong finish when we were sort of traveling at opposite times. So I know he had good 3 weeks consecutively leading into the fight week. In terms of the nerves, I don't know if that guy feels nerves, or certainly if he feels nerves, it's even more impressive that he's able to just push them to one side. You know, I was obviously a massive favorite on the betting line. And I think it could have easily got to him that he was performing on a bare knuckle show that my boss owns. I'm a big favorite, and he didn't show any nerves when he was in there. And I think that's one of the best things about Ben is that he can do things and apply himself to things that he knows the odds are against him, and he still does them anyway. So I don't know how much training he really got in, but he certainly held himself accountable to still do it and put forth his best effort, you know?
Yeah, you talked about showing up in Marbella to the bullfighting arena and everything like that. Is there a moment when you go to the dais, you give that incredible speech, then you face off with Bane and Conor McGregor's in the middle of y'all, you're about to get into a bare knuckle fight the next day in Spain, in this incredible arena. Is there a moment where you're just like, what is going on? Like, how did I end up here?
So when we were in the locker room before the fight, I was pretty goofy. I was very loose and I was sort of bouncing around, much to the annoyance of Dan Hooker, who was in my corner. He was not a big fan of how overly chill I was. And when they came and knocked on the door and said 15 minutes, that's when it all really hit me. And that's actually when Dan was great to be there, because at that moment, it became incredibly real that I was about to have a bare knuckle fight. And I could sort of feel the nerves building, and I was like, oh God, what have I done? But luckily I had him there to sort of, tell me I was being a pussy. And then we got through it. But yeah, that was the moment, the real moment where I suddenly thought like, oh my God, I'm about to take a really painful punch in the face, was about 15 minutes before. That's when my mistake had become reality.
2 follow-ups to that. 1, are you normally calm? Like, were you calm before the MMA fight, or was this a different level of Zed? Compare the two.
No, I was really calm before the MMA fight, probably more calm. I think by that point, I'm just so ready for it to be done with. I've been doing nothing but thinking about it for 6 weeks or more. The flight over to Marbella, I couldn't go to sleep. So I just spent 16 hours staring at the back of the chair in front of me, thinking about a punching match.
They call that raw dog. Raw dog.
Yeah, you raw dog the flight by having anxiety about your fight.
I raw dogged the flight much like you guys did your intro.
That was good stuff. That was good stuff.
But I tried to just sort of at that point of the proceedings, I'm just ready to get it over with. I just want to just get in there and get the thing over with, win or lose. As long as I give a good account of myself, I'll be all right. I'll get over it.
The second follow up to that was, I think we need to address the Dan Hooker in the corner situation. Obviously, we know fans of Pub Talk will know that you and Dan have a rapport, but how did that come together? How did we get Dan committed? What was his vibe like? What advice did he give you? Tell us all about the Dan Hooker experience.
Also, just one question to add on to that about Dan Hooker. Is Marbella really the furthest city on earth from Auckland, New Zealand? And this guy came all the way just for you.
Yes, if you Google furthest city, I think if you type in Auckland, Marbella is the top of the list. He didn't know that. He just came. I told him when he landed.
He's like, man, this is far. Yeah, it's as far as you can get.
How that all came together was I was actually at a house party of Craig Jones's, and I was trying to interview Dan during the party, and it wasn't going very well. There was a bit of communication issues, maybe. Some of us weren't as lucid as each other. But I told him during that, I said, hey, I'm doing a bare knuckle fight. And he said, oh, can I corner you right away? I knew it was in Spain, but didn't know how far that would be. And he just asked to corner me. And then I sort of over the next month or few weeks or whatever, almost tried to talk him out of it because I felt guilty he'd have to fly so far. But he refused. He wanted to be there and he came. He said he wanted to be there in case I lost because he felt that someone needed to be at the hospital with me. So at least he had a lot of confidence. At least he had a lot of confidence that I was going to do well.
Yeah, it sounds like he had a good sense of the outcome. Couldn't have gone more differently, obviously. So let's get to the fight. Maybe let's go to the lead up. What was fight week like for you in terms of now having to face Ben and see him at the press conference, see him at the weigh-ins, things like that? Because it feels like this was an elevated stage, right, compared to the MMA fight. Like this was going to be on DAZN. At first, it started maybe in the preliminary portion. We get bumped up with some attention from some luminaries, right? Joe Rogan has Israel Adesanya on, and Israel Adesanya's talking about it. Dana White is asked about it at a press conference and answers that he's going to be watching. So naturally, there's like an elevation of the stakes. When you get to those moments during the press conference, when you get to the moments during the weigh-in, where you're now on this stage in front of everybody in Marbella, Spain, and the stakes are this high, did it feel different? What did that feel like for you?
I don't know if it felt different or the stakes were that high because I'm pretty good at just focusing on what I have in front of me. So the press conference, like, okay, let's get the press conference done. I wasn't thinking about like, oh, if I flub my lines here, I'm going to look like a bell end. I just sort of got it done. The main issue for fight week was I got the flu. And that's where you're like, oh my God, I'm going to go and fight. And I have to go fight. I'm not going to pull out. And if you wake up really sore, that's going to be a bad night for you. So I had the flu when I landed. I luckily got over that fairly quickly. But then the weight cut, when I did the MMA fight, the weight cut was really easy. And this one was not easy. It was really like kind of shit. So that was the other big issue. But then having said that, the moment I got to eat after, I was in like the best mood ever. So it was just it's a pretty unique experience, but I just was refusing to really think about the fight, right? Because I came off that flight where I raw dogged it, as you so nicely put it, and thought about nothing but the flight. I was like, I didn't have to think about it all the fight week. So I was pretty lucky in respect that I was able to sleep well and I wasn't having panic attacks every 5 minutes. So the emotions of fight week were tolerable.
Yeah, so let's get to the fight, which, as we've kind of alluded to, an extremely impressive performance by both sides, right? I think everybody who has seen it by now knows that you were victorious, but in dominant fashion. When you were in there, and you were actually, you said that the nerves started coming on in 15 minutes before you walked out. Now you're in there standing across from Ben Davis. Are you going, I really do like Ben, because I understand it that you two have a rapport. Are you thinking, I really do like Ben, and I hope this goes well for both of us? Are you thinking, I'm going to rip his head off? What was the mentality once you were standing across from him?
I kept thinking, God, my right leg is shaking a lot. That's not very good. I hope you can't see that on TV. And then once you sort of take the center, it's not really a lot of active thought. I'm going to sound like such a fucking
try hard.
Want to be here, but he really does become fairly faceless. It's not like you're looking at Ben. I'm basically looking at his chest and stuff. So I didn't really even think about him as like an entity that I'm fighting. And then Dan had shouted at me for the whole warm-up, stick behind your jab, stick behind your jab. And then right before we walked out, I said, no, I'm going to go spam right hands. So I kind of was laughing at myself about that. And then as soon as Ben threw the first jab, I managed to land a right hand. And then it's just sort of chin up, hands down, spam the X button, baby. Just go for it. There wasn't a lot of thought. So I think you could tell that by my head movement. There was not really a lot of actual plan.
I was wondering, like watching the fight, me and Rick watched it together, and it was just like you just like bum rushed them, and I mean you obviously had success with it. And so you're saying that it was sort of up until right before you walked out, it was like, all right, we're just going to stick behind the jab, we're going to stay patient, and you're like, nah, we're just going to hammer X until he goes down.
Yeah, I just watched too much Bob Sapp, and I was like, yeah, I'm going to be like Bob Sapp. No, I don't know. It felt maybe it was an effort, maybe it was a subconscious effort to just get it over and done with. I don't know, but I just knew. I just had a feeling this was not going to go 2 minutes, regardless if he won or I won, and I was okay with those terms. I was like, oh, look, I'm just going to go out here and windmill in and swing for the fences and see what happens.
When he keeps getting up, what are you thinking? I mean, obviously you scored 4 knockdowns in the first round. Like after 2, after 3, are you like, all right, this is it? He's not getting back up from this one.
Well, I could see his face, right? So I could see his eyes were still clear. He wasn't like glazed over, so I could tell that he wasn't concussively hurt. After the 3rd knockdown, I kind of assumed they had a 3 knockdown rule. So when they were like, right, carry on, I was a bit like, oh, how many times do I have to do this? So then after the 4th one, I looked at David Feldman to be like, come on, man, this kid's getting hurt. But actually, I just wanted the fight to be over. I didn't really care about anything else. But after the 2nd, Dan Hooker shouted, slow the fuck down. And I just said, no, I'm going to keep going, which he was not great. Wasn't super grateful for afterwards either. But I just sort of thought if I got him down then, I'll just keep doing that until he goes back down again. And I was obviously bigger than Ben, a bit more physical than Ben, so I was able to kind of just bum rush him again and again. And he couldn't really keep me off him. But the plan was basically, this has worked twice now. I'm just going to do this until they do stop the fight. I think he could have continued, to be fair. After the fight,
I thought he was going to make it to the end of that first round. I really did think he was going to make it to the bell.
Which, by the way, if he did, I only realized I had messed my hand up once I stopped. Then the pain really set in. So if I had 60 seconds on the stool, sorry, Ben, that you get to hear this now, but I might not have been able to throw that right hand again because it was really bad.
Wow, this is a massive development.
Yeah, what are we dealing with? What's going on with the hand?
Well, I don't know. It's bright yellow right now compared to the other one. But,
I saw the picture that you posted that was inflated like a balloon the day after.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it's broken. The 3rd knuckle, when you feel the 3rd knuckle, it's not the same as the other knuckle. So maybe I've broken that. I'm not sure. Or it could just be really swollen. But yeah, it would have really hurt to throw it again. I think I would have, but I might have just got a John Jones done here.
Yeah. I was going to say, you talked about Dan's coaching. You talked about his corner advice. I feel like Dan, the coach, might not have been happy with you, but I feel like maybe Dan, the fighter, would have been happy with you. Is that a fair assessment?
Dan, the fighter, was very supportive, but never supportive enough to pretend that this was a real high-level clash, which I'm proud of myself. He was adamant that it was 50-50. Even after I won in the way I did, he said that next time Ben would beat me in that way. He was adamant it was just I got there first. And it was never too far away from reminding me of that.
You didn't stick behind the jab, Oscar. You didn't stick behind the jab.
Well, then he tried to take credit for that. He said, I told you to stick behind the jab because then you'd let him jab first and counter with the right hand. I was like, I don't think that's how that works, but okay. But I think much like Conor McGregor, I think Dan and Conor both realized that actually Ben deserved as much, if not more, credit and recognition because he was a smaller guy. He was on enemy territory, if you want to say that. I think both of them were probably more impressed with him than me. So, which is cool. I think that's cool. I think Ben deserved the credit. So that's where Dan sort of was paying attention to.
Yeah, I mean, it really was an amazing performance by him, even with the outcome that he got. To be able to get back up and just to get into the ring, period, is massive respect to him. But you did end up winning the fight. So when it finally does get called and the ref waves it off, like you said you were going to feel the relief when the fight ended, whether you won or lost. How did it feel getting a first-round knockout once the fight actually ended?
Bro, honestly, I can't really explain why, but I was just incredibly muted. I just sort of walked out, asked Dan, was that any good? And he said, call me an idiot. And then
I'm getting the sense that tough love is kind of the relationship with Coach Dan Hooker as opposed to like friend Dan Hooker.
Yes, it's very much, what more do you want?
Yeah.
It's a shot, but yeah, so I walked back to the locker room, uploaded my own fight because I brought my laptop to the arena.
That is in true media spirit.
Yeah, and then I just I was really chilled until about an hour later, and then by that point the drinks were flying, so that's probably what got me hyped. But yeah, I was really chilled and just quietly grateful. I think quietly just like, wow, I really managed to do this. I look forward to it sinking in, sort of vibe,
We have to go back because when you win, Conor McGregor comes in the ring. He's big upping you, but he's also raising yours and Ben's hands. He's loving what performance. Now I don't know, what mode he's in right now. Obviously, part owner of BKFC. Maybe he's thinking about what this did. Hey, this was a great fight that did some numbers for us. My employee Oscar Willis is here, who works for the Mac Life. What was that moment like when we have a photo here? We're showing the photo now. What was that moment like when Conor McGregor is raising both of your hands for the performance?
He shook my hurting hand, which I was like, ow. But he went good performance. Then he grabbed Ben and brought Ben over and raised both our hands. And he said, "You're both warriors, and you can both speak on this game in ways that other media can't." Basically, and he just gave us both the same amount of props, which I think is appropriate. And then it was like, get out, go on to the next one. But yeah, it was.
He's got a show to run. He's got a show to run, and
he was a busy guy.
And you've got media posts to make.
You mentioned not getting hyped until the drink started flowing. I saw the picture. I think it was before you made the walk of a big stacking tower of forged Irish stout, and you were saying, soon. I know you like to get after it. Like, how did the after party go once the drinks did start flowing?
9:45 a.m. bedtime. It's pretty good.
Let's go.
It was. It was great.
No details.
That's it. That's all there is.
Yeah, no details.
Yeah. Listen, it's
when in Spain.
Saudi Arabia, I love that sort of behavior here.
Yeah,
that'll be good.
Got it. You got to keep a low profile right now. What's next? Is it jiu-jitsu? Is Craig Jones getting a call? Is it maybe step back from this for a little bit and wait for like what felt like the right opportunity? This definitely, from an outside perspective, somebody who's a friend of yours. This felt like the right opportunity, right? The stage is right, the opponent is right, the fear of being in there in the bare knuckle ring is right. Are you waiting for something that kind of scratches that itch in that same way? Are you willing to kind of like venture out and try some other things? What's the mentality right now?
I don't know. I thought after it had finished, I would just not want to do anything again, go back to being like a drunk degenerate and stuff. But actually, I was surprised that after it, I said, okay, well, I need to find something else now. I want to keep doing these things. I want to keep challenging myself and doing cool stuff, like doing cool life experiences. The issue is that I just thought, for what my ability is, I've just fought on a massive stage on DAZN on the biggest BKFC event ever in a gladiatorial coliseum with the biggest sports star next to me, with my friend who's also a fighter in my corner. I can't think of another combat sports thing that will rival that. It would be somewhat almost, if this one left me felt like I need to do something else, then doing anything else would feel like a pale comparison to this. So I don't want to disrespect this moment by just forcing myself into doing something similar, unless, I can't think of another thing that would be good. The reason why I sort of mentioned the CJI thing was, first of all, I might know a guy who could get me on it, even though he didn't seem that receptive to me earlier. But secondly, that would just be wacky and fun, right? This was stressful and scary. So now it would be cool to do something that's similarly high profile, similarly good level, with again like a similarly like fun thing to do. But I could treat this with a bit more of a sort of a fun attitude that's appropriate for maybe CJI, you know? So that's what I want to do. Craig is not signed off on this. I'm basically just announcing I'm going to compete on this, and he's probably has no interest at all. But that's something like I'm thinking, either that, or of course, Power Slap. That's obviously the logical progression.
I think you know a guy there too. You could probably get on that pretty easily. If we do Power Slap, if we do CJI, is there a name in mind? Is there somebody who you'd like to take this opportunity to invite to stand across from you?
Yeah, Hasbulla.
He said Hasbulla.
Yes, perfect.
No, listen, yeah, Power Slap for sure. Jiu-Jitsu, I don't know, someone of his stature would be great. I've got an experience with grappling them anyway, so why not? But yeah, no, I don't know. Someone cool and fun. I haven't thought about it really, but I'm sure the right person will come up.
Are we thinking about maybe another media thing? I feel, again, my opinion, I feel like this had its moment, right? I don't know if the media versus media thing is the right next one again. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like this was the culmination of that. I don't know if it'll get better from that. So maybe it's another, opponent from not from the space like it was for the MMA. But who knows? Maybe there's somebody out there that's just dying and wants to call you out.
I agree with you too, to be honest. And it's not necessarily a commentary on any of the other media guys. There's loads of like better fighters and stuff like that in media. But I think Ben was perfect because he got the tone that I was going for with some of the comedy skits before. And Ben's a similarly known name for doing similarly wacky shit, right? So it was just really appropriate with Ben. I don't know if there's a comparable person. And yeah, I think if you did it again, it wouldn't feel as natural a fit, whereas this one was really just ticked all the boxes.
Yeah, it was like y'all were perfect for each other with this one.
Yeah, I feel like that's right.
How about instead of competing, he scratches your back, you scratch his, you corner Dan Hooker for his next top 5 lightweight fight.
See, if Dan was anyone else, I reckon he'd go for that. But because Dan's Dan, he's going to be like, no, you can't corner me. What are you, an idiot? So, yeah, it's never happening. But I would, maybe if he says he'd love to try a bare knuckle, maybe I'll corner him for his first bare knuckle. I think that's more appropriate.
Well, I feel like it wouldn't happen on the basis that, Conor McGregor and Dan Hooker seem to break some news that they're going to be fighting. So it would be weird if you were in the corner for Dan Hooker when he's fighting Conor McGregor. More on that. Do you have something on that? Would you like to tell us anything about that?
Let's continue to break news. You're already going to Power Slap. You're already on the next CJI. Let's get the next McGregor fight news out here as well.
Spur of the moment interview where Conor McGregor said he's going to fight Dan Hooker.
Listen, guys, who am I to speak over them? If they've said it, it's as good as happened. So I would never correct anyone or suggest I know better. Those two said it. I'll let them continue to announce their own stories.
Yeah, it'd be a hell of a fight if it actually did happen. That's all I got.
Not for me. Personally, would be.
Yeah, it's a little bit of pulled in both directions, obviously. I understand that.
Yeah, Oscar, man, thank you so much for joining us, dude. Congratulations on everything. Congrats. You absolutely killed it all fight week. Your socials were blowing up, man. You did everything perfectly, and then obviously the performance was unbelievable. So respect to you for hopping in there, and to Bane, and respect for joining us here on the first episode of the Boys in the Bag.
Boys, thank you for having me.
All right, Oscar, be easy, man. Just like that, one guest down, and it was a great one at that. Big Oscar Willis.
Yeah, good friend of mine. Savage performance against Ben. Ben also somebody who we're super friendly with. Shout out to Ben. But felt like the perfect storm, as he's kind of like alluded to, and we both felt like it felt like that was the perfect pairing there, and they were able to put on something special. They're both going to go on and take the notoriety that they got from that and use it in the rest of their career. So perfect.
Yeah, for sure. I was talking to Ben. I think we kind of decided before the fight even started, perfect first guest for Boys in the Back. Whoever wins this fight, we can have hop on. But I was talking to Ben after the fight, and I was just like, man, it really doesn't matter if you lost, dude. You're not a bare knuckle fighter. Like, this is not your career trajectory. What you can take away from this is the experience and all the notoriety and just being able to be like, yeah, I've gotten in there. And he's also done BJJ and karate combat and everything like that. So, yeah, both of them have incredibly bright futures.
We were talking.
Oscar only 30? You told me that last week?
I think.
Hard to wrap my head around. I thought he was older. Young gun in this game.
He's a young man. 30? I don't know. He's gonna have to tell you that. I'm bad with that. I mentioned Oscar, hey, maybe jiu-jitsu, maybe boxing. Ben's kind of already knocked off everything off
Karate combat.
Yeah.
He's got a dub in karate combat.
He's got a lot of the different.
I should have asked. Yeah, Oscar. He hinted at Dana White Contender Series to Dan Hooker in one of their little pub talks.
Yeah. Now we've backtracked to Power Slap. So let's see.
Power Slap. I feel like that's the only way to get more like ridiculous, I guess.
Yeah.
Than bare knuckle in Marbella, Spain, in a bullfighting arena with Conor McGregor there and Dan Hooker in your corner. I feel like you fight the big Hawaiian or whatever his name is on Power Slap.
The heavyweight guy.
Willis versus the flying Hawaiian.
No, not my friend. Thankfully.
All right.
Yeah.
First one in the can. Feels good, man. Asking questions.
It's nice being here. It does it feel different to you than when we were on the MMA Hour set? It feels different.
It feels different because we look at the screen and it's like it's the boys in the back branding. And
yeah,
we got our own red lights and we got the crown in our own color and we got the logo.
Should we talk about like how sick the logo is? I feel like we haven't really like gone too deep.
Like, can we address the logo? I've been getting a couple comments. I look like a madman. Like I look like a creeper in this illustration. I thought I looked great. I thought it kind of looked like me. But,
I mean, it's clear that Frank is the best on the logo.
Oh yeah,
clearly the best.
Clearly is.
Frankie, my man, finally
says something. Is that the first time we've heard
dude.
Frankie's voice?
I think you guys were ignoring me earlier, maybe.
No, if you should we break the fourth wall?
Yeah, well, I've been working on the fourth wall. So.
All right, well, let's break the fourth wall. When we first came in, I don't know if you could see, I just ripped the earpiece out because I was hearing everything going on in the production room. It was definitely throwing me off my game just a little bit. So if you had spoken, then yeah, I definitely.
Hey, it's all good, man. Yeah.
Welcome in, man. How you feeling? You got your face on the logo. Kind of strong-armed your way in there. But
wait, did my agent demand that I get that done?
Yeah, listen, man. Some people came with some threatening language to me that we had to get Big Frank on.
Hey, if that's what the people asked for, that's what you have to
on
give
the logo.
My dad told me when we were making this transition, my dad told me if Frank's not on the logo, he's not watching. So we had no choice.
Smack in the middle too.
Yeah.
That's the way to go.
I mean, you've got it all going for you, Frankie.
That's it. That's all he's got.
That's it.
Okay.
Before the show,
Literally,
I'm giving him a nice, just like pat on the shoulders. I'm just like getting him hype. I'm like, let's go. Let's have a great show. Jump in whenever you want, man. Free reign. Whenever you want to jump in.
When Frank is stressed out.
43 minutes later, we hear the first murmurs of Big Mysterious Frank.
When Frank is stressed, he gets very intense, but also like
calm.
Yes. No, it's like this weird. It's a very weird thing. Super pleasant. He's like the most pleasant stressed person I know. Because when I get stressed, I snap. Right. I'm just like, yeah. Like I start to get short with people, and I start to. Frank's still trying to like be as cordial and respectful and pleasant as possible, while also we can recognize the stress. It's a very odd thing.
Frank, my mic's fucking up. Yeah. No, thanks. Thanks for telling me that. Yep. That's what I wanted you to.
But it's why we love him, and it wouldn't be the boys in the back without him.
Yes, we're glad you're here, Frankie.
We should also obviously shout out super producer On Air Jordan.
On Air Jordan, and then of course
and TD
Andy. Andy, I mean Andy carrying this ship, carrying the weight of the world. I mean the amount of talking she was doing that we were hearing, it can't be understated how much she's doing back there carrying this show.
Yes, we love you guys.
All right. Hop into some previews.
Let's do it.
Into a little bit of discussion because we got some fights this weekend and some very interesting ones at that. PFL. I was about to say, did we just knock Izzy down?
There's Izzy.
Helwani's going to be pissed. He's got a special interview at 4 o'clock today with the light heavyweight champion of the world, Alex Pereira. Just dropping that. He's just like, congrats on the launch of Boys in the Back. I'm going to just follow it up with Alex Pereira, if that's cool with you guys.
Just yesterday, we're hearing from the YouTube chat, too much content. You guys are putting out too much.
I was like, is it too much content?
Ariel's like, yeah, let me throw one more. Oh, by the way,
champ,
no problem. Alex Pereira coming up at 4 p.m. On this same YouTube channel, youtube.com/ArielHelwani. You can see Alex Pereira and ArielHelwani.
Shama, shout out.
Shama.
We got the Stonehead right here, always. Let's go. Our guy. All right, so PFL Battle of the Giants, where Oscar Willis just joined us from Saudi Arabia, going down the return of Francis Ngannou to the MMA ranks. We haven't seen him since January of 2022. There's your main card. We're going to go through the whole thing. 4 of these 5 fights are absolute bangers, man. I cannot wait for this one.
Yeah, and as you can see on the graphic here, it's a daytime card because it's coming from Saudi, 4 p.m., available on DAZN and ESPN+.
We'll be done by like 7:30 p.m. Sign me up.
But more importantly, as I mentioned earlier, you can watch with us. Like, you can watch with Helwani on Helwani Vision with Helwani and friends. So Helwani will be joined, as we've said.
There
it is. Look at, I mean, can we also shout out, by the way,
the graphics team at
Yahoo has
Amber, Girk,
Grant.
Shirley, Grant, Absolute Studs is the one that put all this together. Look at those topic
Absolutely
bars.
crushing it.
Topic
Absolutely
bars.
crushing
We're really stepping up our production game. Let's start with the main event, though.
Yeah.
Francis Ngannou, Hernan Ferreira. I just mentioned it. Ngannou has not fought in MMA since January of 2022 when he defeated Cyril Gane. Yeah, it's been a minute, man. Had to go to the wrestling, get it done by decision, dug deep.
Blown knee.
Let's just keep plugging stuff. Chuck Mendenhall put out an unbelievable piece on Francis Ngannou. I read it like it was a movie. Like
You can get that at uncrowned.com, by the way.
It really is. Chuck Mendenhall has a way with words. I feel like I always watch stuff and they're just like, a great piece over at xyz.com. Go ahead and read it. And then I never go and read it. I read Chuck Mendenhall's piece on the train yesterday, and it was just fantastic. It literally, he sets it up like a movie, this guy's life story, and now we get the return. Fantastic artwork for it, too. It was a great piece. Got me really hyped for him coming back to MMA, and it's under some interesting circumstances. Obviously, the knockout loss, brutal knockout loss to Anthony Joshua back in March, the loss of a child, which is unimaginable how hard that is to get over and go back into life. And now he goes from the boxing scene back into MMA, taking on Hernan Ferreira. PFL's champion, a massive man, 6'8", I think like an 87-inch reach or something like that, absolute giant. There's a reason it's called Battle of the Giants. Where do you feel Ngannou is going into this?
It's impossible to know, right?
Yeah.
Like, this is one of those scenarios where the things that he is facing in his personal life with the loss of the child, you can't, as you said, you can't even fathom that.
No, cannot
as a
do it.
father, I can't put myself in that mindset to understand what life would be like after that moment. And so only he will know that, and we will only find out when he shows up on fight night. There is no way to forecast this. There's no way to say like, he will get over it, he won't get over it. Anything we say would be pure speculation. This is an internal battle that Francis Ngannou is facing right now. Like, this is an internal struggle that he is going to have to overcome. Now, saying that, Francis Ngannou has been somebody who was not supposed to make it this far, right? Francis, everything from the salt mines on was Francis Ngannou defying the odds. Defying the odds to be able to land in France, to be able to become this champion that he has become. Every bit of it has been him facing insurmountable odds and then finding a way to overcome them. To leave the UFC and somehow walk into a boxing fight with Tyson Fury. Everything that Francis Ngannou has done for his entire life, his entire career, has been to defy the odds. And so, if there was a time to doubt Francis Ngannou, it would be once again. This would be a time to doubt Francis Ngannou. The personal struggles, the personal grief that he is going to have to overcome, the fact that he hasn't competed in MMA for this long, the fact that he got brutally knocked out by Anthony Joshua, the fact that he's fighting a monster of a human being. All these things are stacked against him. If you look at the paper, you would say this is the time to doubt Francis Ngannou. But every time he has been in that scenario, that has been when he has been at his best. So I can only speculate that we will get a relatively good version of Francis Ngannou, but the only way we will find out is on Saturday. I have no way of knowing what we're going to see.
100%. I can't say it any better than that. I mean, it's exactly that. We're just going to have to wait until Saturday night to see what Francis Ngannou has to offer. To the X's and O's of the fights, actually looking at, like these guys' history, these guys' career. Last 4 wins, because Hernan Ferreira is on a 4-fight win streak. Last 4 wins for him: Mateus Scheffel, Maurice Green, Dennis Goltsov, Ryan Bader.
Yeah.
Francis Ngannou's last 4 wins in MMA: Junior Dos Santos, Jairzinho Rozenstruik, Stipe Miocic, Cyril Gane.
Yeah.
Like, there is a disparity here with the level of competition and who these guys have fought.
Yeah, the level of competition, it could not be more different. It could not be more drastically different. But in MMA, as is often the case, right, Hernan is the one on the rise now. This is the big opportunity for him. This is his moment to be able to say, like, I'm here and I've arrived, and make it on Francis's back. And Francis is the old guard in this scenario, right? Francis is the one that has been here, done that, fought the who's who, been in there with the best of the best, as you just laid out, and beaten the best of the best. Sometimes the timing just works that way, right? You look at the resume and you say, there's no way. The level of competition is different. But if this is the right moment, if this is that inflection point where Francis is on the down and Hernan is on the up, you hit that moment where now it's his time. So I'm super fascinated by this fight. I have to admit, it wasn't one that I was super compelled by initially. When Hernan hadn't had his last victory, when we were just thinking, like, who does the PFL even have that could fight Francis Ngannou? I am now compelled by the fight. I am, because of circumstances that were outside of our control, because of how the Joshua fight went, because of the personal tragedy that he had. There is something here that makes it seem like Francis Ngannou could be vulnerable, and I don't think that's I think that's something that's commonly out there. I think there are people who are thinking maybe this is the time, and we're only going to find out on Saturday, which is what's so compelling about this to me.
Yeah, because I mean, like if Hernan Ferreira knocks him out, the star is now on the rise.
That's
like,
it.
I mean,
yeah.
he's the guy that knocked out Francis Ngannou in MMA, and then for that, Francis Ngannou, he's 38 years old. Like he is not young and spry at this point in his career. So if he's coming off the Joshua loss, I think whoever wins this fight is likely going to win by knockout. I mean, you talk about the fight being compelling. First and foremost reason is Francis Ngannou is returning to MMA. I want to see how he looks. I want to see what happens, everything going on in his life. I want to see how he handles this situation. Secondly, this is just two massive dudes who are very, very good at knocking people out. They knock people out. We have now seen them get knocked out. I felt like Ngannou had this untouchable chin before the Joshua fight, but obviously anyone can get caught at this weight class. We've seen Hernan Ferreira be finished as well. I think whoever wins is probably going to win by knockout. So that is compelling in itself. You're probably going to get a very exciting fight where it just feels like the dynamite is waiting to explode. And then where both guys go from here with a win and a loss. Francis Ngannou, if he loses, you really start to wonder, where do you go from here at this state of your career, at this age that you're at? And then Hernan Ferreira, it's just like, how big can the PFL make this guy now that he's got a win over Francis Ngannou?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you're Francis Ngannou, you're now coming off the biggest paydays of your career, contrary to kind of what Dana White was trying to say out there. If you're Francis Ngannou and you lose this fight, you've now been knocked out in boxing by Anthony Joshua, you've now been knocked out by Hernan Ferreira, you're going, what do I still need to accomplish? What do I still need to prove? Now, I would say, Francis Ngannou's first potential knockout loss in MMA, it might stand to reason like he would want to get that one back, and maybe the motivation is still there to kind of return to the cage. But at the same time, man, that boxing money's different. Maybe he goes back to boxing. Maybe he finds another way in there. Maybe not at that championship level, but maybe at a level below that, and just tries to cash in on some boxing paydays. But you do wonder what the motivation. I'm wondering personally what the motivation is right now, and then you factor in the possibility of losing. The question of what's the motivation gets even larger. It looms larger for me. When I think about the breakdown of this fight, and I don't know if we're going to trade picks or anything, but I tend to lean toward Francis because I know Francis, right? I know him better. I've seen him in there with the highest level of competition, and man, when the Francis that I saw in 2021 against Stipe Miocic.
Yep. Yeah.
I would pick that Francis against any heavyweight who ever lived. I would pick that Francis against anybody. You pick them, I think that Francis knocks them out. John Jones at that time, they seemed to be kind of like swirling around each other. I would have picked that Francis against anybody because it seemed like he was prepared, technical, managing the gas tank, and that power is just otherworldly. But that guy may not be there anymore, and I don't know. I just won't know until Saturday if that guy is still there. Maybe that guy is there, and then it's like, oh man, does the PFL actually have the best heavyweight on the planet still? Because I think that conversation is kind of quieted, right?
Yes.
We've moved toward it's John Jones, and who else could be in that conversation? Tom Aspinall's obviously in there. It might be time for Francis to remind people, and that would be something kind of special.
That would be amazing. Also,
or Hernan to say, guess what? I'm actually the dude.
Yeah. Well, you were saying Francis it's who you know, but Hernan, I've been watching his career for the last few years, obviously in the PFL, and like he sort of has an odd career. Like there's been he was on like a 3-fight losing streak, but actually 2 of them turned into no contest because he lost by decisions by essentially getting wrestled, and then it turned out his opponents were on steroids. He got knocked out in the middle of that, and then he won a fight by knockout, and then it got overturned because he had actually tapped to a choke before that, so it got turned into a no contest. He's lost DQ, shots to the back of the head. Like he's kind of had like an odd career, but now everything is in the table for him in front of him, and you just have to wonder what guy is going to show up here and on both sides. And it's a wildly fascinating fight, and something that also fascinates me is the odds of it. Francis Ngannou is coming in. What would you put him at right now? What do you think?
I actually haven't looked at this, so I'm gonna. I think there's probably a narrative out here that he's more vulnerable. So I don't think he's like in the 500 range. 250.
Opened minus 350, now has been bet all the way down to minus 230. You can get Francis Ngannou.
Yeah.
And if I'm not mistaken, after he lost the split decision to Tyson Fury and was like as hot gets, and then Henan knocked out Bader.
Yeah.
They put up future odds for it on DraftKings before the Anthony Joshua fight. There was a small window where it was there. If I am not mistaken, he was like minus 600 then.
That's what.
And then I think the Anthony Joshua brought it back down, and now people are thinking that he's vulnerable, and it's bringing it even further down.
You would have any mortal in Francis Ngannou's position would be vulnerable.
Of course.
But he has proven to be not mortal, which is what's so fascinating to me. For Ngannou, this and Ferreira, this fight reminds me of Roundtree and Alex Pereira to an extent, where I do believe that Henan is going to be dangerous to Francis Ngannou.
Of course. I mean, he's 6'8", he's all muscle, he has knockout power.
He just has something.
At this division,
but
he can absolutely win this fight.
But what I circle back to when I think about this fight is you're also fighting on the terms that are best for the guy who's better at it, just frankly. Like the guy who is better at it, you are fighting on his terms, and it's actually just as more dangerous for you, in fact. Not just as dangerous, more dangerous for you, in fact. And so if the Francis that we saw in 2021 and 2022 shows up,
2023, if the Francis that fought Tyson Fury shows up.
That's fair enough too. I was thinking MMA only, but that's completely fair. Then I don't like his odds. But if it's not, if it's a different version, and we saw this with Conor McGregor. Once Conor McGregor came back from boxing, his style changed. His style changed kind of drastically. He became a lot more heavy on the boxing than that bouncy, springy kind of flowy. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not suggesting that like Francis Ngannou was this big, springy kind of dude. But man, that performance against Stipe, he did look kind of light on his feet. He was not like I'm extremely fascinated by this fight. I think it is an exponentially more interesting fight now in this exact moment in time than it had.
And it was when Henan Ferreira knocked out Ryan Bader back in February. I agree with you. I can't wait for it. Questions will be answered. A lot of questions will be answered. Hoping for the best for Francis Ngannou. I mean, this has been a very tough year for him to this point. So I hope even win or lose, he can just come out and put on a solid performance.
Yes.
Going to be a great main event. One of the best main events PFL has ever had.
Yeah, absolutely.
Biggest star they've ever had, without a doubt. This is it.
I have long thought PFL should not be on pay-per-view. Francis Ngannou is a pay-per-view star. I believe that
you're under the $50 agenda, aren't you?
I would pay $50 for this.
20.
Personally.
20. They will make more money selling $20 pay-per-views than they will 50.
Again, I don't know the economics of the pay-per-view business model. They're going to have to, do what's best for the company. I think Francis Ngannou's name means something, and this is the right time to have done a pay-per-view.
If you're ever going to do a pay-per-view as the PFL,
this is the time. Jake Paul, Francis Ngannou, those are your two.
And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, they announced that they will also be doing the 2024 World Championships in Saudi Arabia as well, which I would also imagine will be behind pay-per-view.
If that's on a pay-per-view, that's where I start to wonder. But this, to me, is... We'll talk about the rest of the card. Needless to say, I'll give my thoughts on the entire card at the end, but I believe that this is a pay-per-view main event.
Yeah, I mean, let's jump into the co-main event.
Yeah.
Another just absolute banger. You got a legend in Chris Cyborg going up against Larissa Pacheco, who's as hot as it gets right now. 10 straight wins. Beat Kayla Harrison on the way. Collected $2 million checks by winning the tournament both years. And, oh, by the way, 10 of those wins have come via first-round knockout. Chris Cyborg, 21 knockouts throughout her career. Has lost one time in MMA since 2005.
Yep.
I was in diapers in 2005. 12 years old, but was still in diapers. Has lost one time since 2005, and that was to Amanda Nunes.
Yes.
Like, isn't she your GOAT?
She's my GOAT.
Your women's GOAT?
Unabashedly, all due respect to the Lioness, Amanda Nunes, I still believe that Chris Cyborg's resume, her body of work, even though she has a head-to-head loss to Amanda Nunes.
Right, knocked her out in 50 seconds.
Okay, but if we're going to do that, like Amanda Nunes has losses, right? I know you'd have to go further back, but if we're going to do that, then are those people the
Right, it was like when Volk had the one loss before the Islam losses to like some like
No,
middleweight.
that's not fair. She lost to some legitimate, talented caliber fighters, but I think Chris Cyborg is the GOAT. That doesn't matter, right, in this fight because, as I said, this may be a time where it's Larissa's time and Cyborg is on the way. Now, I will say this. I have not seen that from Cyborg. The Cyborg that I'm seeing is as good as the Cyborg that I'd been seeing for the last few decades. Like, she just continues to be like an absolute machine, save for the one blip, which is that Amanda Nunes knockout.
Clipped her.
Which, look, if you're in a firefight with the two, what I consider the two best female fighters on the planet, one of the MMA fighters, one of them is going to go down, and unfortunately it wasn't Chris's night that time. But I believe that Cyborg is as good as she's ever been. Like, she just continues to look tremendous, and this is going to be a very tough test for Cyborg because I also believe right now, like, Larissa's somebody who, because she's been under the PFL banner, maybe hasn't gotten the notoriety and the shine, and she also was in the UFC and then out of the UFC. I think people are kind of sleeping on how actually good and dangerous and well-rounded she has made her game. I think this will be an absolutely credible test, a much more credible test for Cyborg than we've seen in recent years. And I'm excited about the fight. Cyborg, though, is to me one of those fighters that until I see it, like I could not believe that Amanda Nunes had done what she'd done to Cyborg. Until I see it again, I will believe that Cyborg is going to win. That is how I operate.
Two questions for you. Do you think we get an Amanda Nunes style fight? Like, it's just going to be a firefight? Because Larissa Pacheco is willing to engage in that. You say no.
I don't think Cyborg will engage in that.
Okay. Number two,
I should say, not because I don't think she can engage in that, I just think it is not the optimal strategy. I think she can be a little more defensively sound and probably pick Larissa apart.
Have you looked at the odds for this fight?
I have not looked at any of the odds of this
fight. Wow. Line this fight for me.
See, this one I think Cyborg is going to get more potential steam and more love than Francis did. But man, Larissa's been so good. But people don't really know her name. I'm going to say 450 for Cyborg?
Minus 450 for Cyborg?
Yeah.
I have good news for you, friend.
What?
I have a bargain just for you. Just this one weekend only, you can get Chris Cyborg plus 133.
You're kidding, right?
You have to bet this now. You just lined Cyborg at minus 450. You have to bet this now.
Chris Cyborg is an underdog?
Christian Justino Cyborg plus 333.
You better bet that
Larissa Pacheco minus 153.
Okay, so let's rewind. We're gonna scrub Jordan. I need you to go back in the tape. We're gonna cut back to where I said that Larissa is not getting the credit she deserves. She's absolutely getting the credit deserves. I dare say she might be getting more credit than she deserves due to the win over Kayla Harrison.
Larissa Pacheco opened as a minus 115, so she has been bet down to a minus 153.
Yeah, I don't get that. I'll be honest. Here, I'll say it this way. If Larissa goes in there and knocks out Cyborg, I wouldn't be like, oh my God, I can't believe she did it. That's how she's going to win, and she is good enough to do that. But man, to have that kind of line, to be offering those kind of odds on somebody as good as Chris Cyborg.
Has lost one time since 2005 to Amanda Nunes.
And again, as I said, kind of hasn't lost a step in there, like has continued to look exactly as dominant as she was before. Almost better. I'm shocked by that, and yeah, maybe there's a book out there that might be getting a wager.
We talk about what happens.
Wait. What about X's and O's for this fight for you? What are you seeing in this one?
My thought process with it is just like, just looking at the odds, I was just like, can you really set Cyborg as an underdog like this? Like, I'm with you. Like, it's not like she's looked horrible of late. The one loss is still just Amanda Nunes, and then her first professional fight. Yeah, and Amanda Nunes was
2019,
18? 5-6 years ago at this point. It just all depends on the fight that we see. Like, I really think there is a chance that they come out here and just scrap.
Trade.
Yeah, and they just trade, and someone gets caught. I mean, we've seen both of them engage in it.
I could see it, and Larissa could force that, right? If she's just in Cyborg's face, but I think Cyborg is going to be more physical than maybe she's anticipating. Now, granted, she was in there with Kayla Harrison, and it doesn't get more
Pacheco's physical, man. She's a specimen, and she is
she's close to my heart.
I know.
I made the pick early. Like, I love Larissa. I think she's great. I just think Cyborg would be better served to not engage in that, whereas Larissa, I don't think has much of a choice, right? She needs to hunt Cyborg down and finish her that way, or maybe she wins a decision that way. For Cyborg, I think there's multiple paths to victory. I think it could be that kind of firefight, and I think she could win it. But I think that's more of a coin flip. If she's on her bike and she's more of a technical performance and she's using her jab and she's using her range and she's actually putting on that type of show, I think that just better serves her. And maybe there's some clinch work. Maybe she's just, putting Larissa against the cage. I'm a little bit shocked by those odds. I would not be shocked to see Larissa win though. So maybe the odds are closer to what reality is than my predisposition to feel like, no, Cyborg until she loses, I'm gonna ride with Cyborg.
It's a fascinating fight too, because where does Larissa Pacheco? We talk about the main event. She will have Kayla Harrison and Chris Cyborg on her resume.
That would be nuts. That would be bananas. Truly.
Does she continue to fight for the PFL? Like,
if she beats Cyborg, I would think that if not soon, somewhere down the line, she has to make an appearance in the UFC.
Well, she had the failed appearance earlier in her career.
I don't know what the better term. She I don't want to say washed out. She didn't wash out. She just wasn't ready in that moment. She was not the same fighter she is now.
She was very young.
Super young. She didn't have her moment in the UFC. If she returned to the UFC, she would be a huge problem for those. I mean, Kayla Harrison, soon to be fighting, we think, for a championship. Like, she has a win over her, and it was a pretty good win.
Yeah.
And I know Kayla has wins over her too, so let's not discount that, right? Kayla has 2?
2 wins.
So
yeah,
that was
2
the
and 1
trilogy.
Kayla.
So she has 2 wins over her as well. So that would be a fascinating fight. I would love to. Juliana Pena versus Larissa Pacheco. Sure, sign me up. I'm down for that too.
Imagine a world where Kayla wins the belt, Pacheco comes over to the UFC, takes the belt and fights Amanda Nunes, and she could somehow have Cyborg, Amanda Nunes, and Kayla Harrison on her resume, and now you start talking about Larissa Pacheco.
I will say, and somebody, maybe the chat can correct us later, I do believe that Larissa and Cyborg have either been friendly, Larissa and Amanda have either been friendly or trained together. I know she might idolize
both Brazilian,
her.
Yeah.
I think there's a relationship and a connection there. I don't know if that will preclude a fight. If she had all 3 of those names on her resume,
you'd have to be.
Period. There's not even a convo at that point.
Let's go. All right, we've just mapped it out, Larissa. GOAT status is achievable for you.
There's a world where Amanda Nunes comes back and could have, we were talking about how Larissa could have Kayla and Cyborg. There's a world where Amanda Nunes comes back and has Kayla and Cyborg on her resume.
And Cyborg, and maybe she gets Larissa and Ronda Rousey.
Yeah, Ronda Rousey. Everybody.
Who else? God.
There would be nobody left.
Go on and
now,
on.
I think that's my opinion that Cyborg is the GOAT, I think, is a controversial one. I think most people kind of universally think Amanda Nunes. Again, it's more the resume. I know the head-to-head is there. It's the resume conversation and the length of the dominance. But it's 1A, 1B.
Yeah.
It's right there.
We find out this weekend it's going to be an absolute fantastic fight. Both those top 2 are just chef's kiss to the PFL matchmakers on that one. Nailed it. Let's keep it rolling. Johnny Eblen, Fabian Edwards 2, a rematch that we saw Johnny Eblen get cut up bad. It was almost like there was 15 minutes to go when that cut happened, and it was sort of like he had to beat the clock on I don't know if that cut was lasting 15 more minutes, man. It was a valley in his eyebrow. But he goes out there, he gets it done, he gets the finish of Fabian Edwards, he retains his belt, and he's just kind of showing that he can will out these fights. He did it against Impa Kasanganay, a very close split decision win back in February, where he just had to will his way and come back in those later rounds and get it done. He's shown heart. He's shown incredible toughness. He's undefeated. I was at the Gegard Mousasi fight where he took the belt, and I was like, this dude is unreal.
Yeah.
And then he came out, and I think the next one was against Anatoly Tolkov, I think, and he just blanked him.
Who is good.
Yeah, and I was just like, this dude is insane. And now 2 more great performances. However you scored the one in February, he gets the victory. He retains the undefeated record, and now he gets the rematch with Fabian Edwards. And I kind of feel like we talked about it. He got the cut, which was a very bad cut. But if the cut doesn't open up in that way and he's not gushing blood, he was still winning the fight. I think he would still have come out victorious. And I kind of feel like he gets it done again here this weekend.
Yeah, I don't think the most recent performance we saw was the best of Johnny Eblen, right? I think we can put that one aside. Look, the data is the data. I'm not going to completely ignore it, but I do not feel like that was the best of Johnny Eblen. I feel like he is closer to the performances we had seen before that. And in my opinion, somebody who can compete across any promotion at middleweight and be one of the best in the world. Like UFC, Bellator, and PFL now under one umbrella.
The best.
Trains with Sean Strickland.
Sean Strickland is close with Dustin Poirier.
He is, in my opinion, like suitable for any organization. He is one of the best middleweights in the world, bar none, period. So I don't know if I think of Fabian Edwards in that same caliber, but I do think there's opportunities for Fabian Edwards here that we saw in the first fight that like he can be in this fight, right? Like, and that is where I believe it's going to be interesting is, can he stay in this fight long enough to kind of put Johnny Eblen in dangerous positions as he did with the cut that he suffered? And as you said, you don't think, I guarantee you that it was not going to go another 15 minutes. That wasn't going another 3 minutes. Yeah. He had to be on the clock to finish that fight. One of those ones where
it looked like you could see the brain matter.
It was gnarly.
Like, is that his brain?
He would have lost the title on that, and now obviously they probably would have done a rematch at some point. They're already doing a rematch now. I think Fabian Edwards can be dangerous to him, but I'm strongly in the corner of believing that Johnny Eblen is going to get it done, and just one of the best middleweights in the world.
I'm with you. We've given PFL a lot of praise for this card, a lot of matchmaking. Absolutely love it. One that I don't understand is having this next fight we're about to get into on the main on the main card. Hussein Magomedov versus Zafar Mohsen. They're both making their PFL debuts.
Yes.
Kadi Magomedov, born in Switzerland, fights out of Switzerland. Zafar was born in Afghanistan, so somewhat close to Saudi Arabia, but still he's not like a hometown guy by any means. He was supposed to fight for the vacant 145 Cage Warriors strap back in May. He ended up having to pull out. I was just going through it, trying to like really wrap my head around it. Kadi Magomedov, 945 followers on Instagram, private account. 1 follower on Twitter with 0 tweets. Zafar, 4,500 Instagram followers. So, I mean, like, the star power is kind of lacking for these guys with the company that they're keeping on this main card. And then all of this, Hussein is a minus 1,200 favorite.
Fascinating.
So, like...
what was the line for Eblen and
Oh, I'm sorry. Eblen
Edwards?
is minus 350, Edwards plus 275.
Minus 350?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. I thought that would have been bigger. Okay.
Yeah.
Wait, did we talk about that yesterday?
We did, yeah.
I forgot. I blanked
It's like kind of coming
Sorry.
a little bit.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, unless I'm mistaken, I was going to say Raytheon
right
is on the prelims, right?
I mean, like, former interim champ for Bellator, like a pretty well-known name, 20-2, has fought like the likes of Patchy Mix. Obviously, didn't work out for him, but I don't know. I just don't.
Former interim champ.
The card is just like so stacked, and like obviously they're kicking it off with AJ and Paul Hughes, which we'll get into next. And then like I feel like that's the grab you, and then this. Maybe they're just expecting an exciting fight and a finish.
Yeah, a little bit of a breath.
It is just kind of like a. Why is this on
yeah, I don't know.
All these other great fights.
I'm
not saying it's not going to be a great fight.
Yeah.
Not saying it doesn't deserve to be on the card, but the main card perplexed me.
I'm right there with you. If you had a breakdown of this fight, you'd be telling me info that I don't have.
That was my breakdown of the fight.
Okay, perfect.
Was just trying to be like, why exactly is this on the main card?
Don't know. I'm sure there's a justification. Somebody at the PFL maybe can reach out to us and let us know. But I will say, with the 4 of the 5, they have nailed it in such a way, that I'm okay. I'll be fine. Yeah. I'll make it through.
I agree with you, which leads us to the last fight we'll talk about on the main card, which is the first fight of the night on the main card. Paul Hughes taking on AJ McKee, and like I'm seeing a lot of people say that, so I'm not even going to say it's flying under the radar. This has real potential to be fight of the night. Like, this might be the most intriguing fight. Paul Hughes, obviously big free agency this past year. Was he going to sign with the UFC? Ends up going with the PFL. Sort of got, a warm-up fight, a welcome to the promotion fight against Bobby King. Does get tested in that one, but comes out victorious. Nasty second-round finish. And now we're to the deep end you go, my man. 27 years old, and now you get AJ McKee, who is an unbelievable mixed martial artist. Let's not forget, like, 2.5 years ago, this guy was an undefeated Bellator champion, and people were just like, I think he can beat Volk. Like, prime powers Volk. He was saying he could beat Volk. I think he came on the MMA Hour and said that he could defeat Volk.
By the way, I'm not sure he's wrong. I'm not sure if that AJ McKee couldn't beat Volk. I'm not sure if AJ McKee right now couldn't beat Volk. I am an unabashed AJ McKee stan. Like, I think he's one of the most, like, talented, intriguing, dynamic, interesting mixed martial artist we've had in a very long time. Like there's just something about him. There's a charisma, but also in the fighting style, he's just freer than a lot of people. He does things that a lot of people don't. I'm a big fan of what he does, and I have to admit I am a little shocked that the Paul Hughes trajectory already is at AJ McKee. I have to admit, I'm a little bit shocked there.
Well, like here it is. Is the big news going to get printed this weekend? Like, are we making headlines? Because if he gets a win, like rockets up, man. Now we're talking about he's getting into title contention in this promotion. He's going to start looking at belts, becoming one of the biggest faces for this brand. And if he loses, it all depends on how the fight goes. Like, if he puts on a fantastic performance but just doesn't come out victorious, it'll just be a minor setback. He's still only 27 years old, very young along in his career. But, man, talk about being game. Paul Hughes says, let's do it, man. I'm ready to go.
Talk about being game from both guys, right? For AJ McKee, it's a no-win situation for him. If he wins, Paul Hughes was a prospect. He wasn't ready for this stage. You just beat a guy who was on the way up. If he loses, it was like, oh, AJ McKee stinks. He was never any good. Paul Hughes is the next big thing and dominated him. He's also, they're both in a situation where it takes guts to make this type of matchup. And I give credit to PFL because I'm intrigued by this matchup in a way that I don't think Paul Hughes is expecting next step in my mind. I would have been as compelled by. This is extremely compelling to me. Kudos to both. I think this is one of those fights where both guys accepting this fight and saying, like, I'm game for that challenge is a credit to both of them.
I'm just going to come out. You know, we've been talking about how would you line this fight if you haven't looked at any odds?
Oh, boy. You have to think AJ, right? I'm so baffled by the Cyborg one that I just, like, it's thrown me off. Oh, man. 175 AJ minus?
Nailed it.
Oh, really? Okay.
AJ McKee. Paul Hughes coming back at plus 150. Nailed it.
That seems right. Like, it's one of those where it's like you have to give the edge to McKee on the experience alone. And also, it's not like AJ McKee is a young man in the game still, so it's not like one of these fights where it could be past his time. Like, this is AJ McKee's time still right now. I'm extremely convinced of that, and I think he could be competing for championships at that level. As I said, like, I don't know if he doesn't beat Volk. Maybe he does. Like, he's one of those guys who his career's kind of taken an interesting path, and I don't know if, like, it almost would have been better if at that time he did have a move to the UFC. I think we would have learned a little bit more. He's kind of been inactive, and now we're kind of getting into these weird. He's also going over to Ryzen. Like,
that Ryzen fight was sick, too.
It was a great fight, but it's also one of those that, like, where does it advance you in terms of, like, chasing championships and things like that? He's had an odd journey. I mean, the walkout with the samurai costume was
incredible. It was incredible.
But I want to see, like, what's the next step for AJ McKee after this and where that goes. That's fascinating to me. And if Paul Hughes wins this fight, like, there's a new king in the promotion.
Dude, what? They really do have, like, the PFL has potential for, like, stars to be born. Like, if Paul Hughes gets a win over AJ McKee this weekend, especially if he does it in impressive fashion, star can be born for them. Johnny Evelyn can just continue to win.
Yeah.
Like, once you start getting into these, I think he's 15-0 right now. Once you start getting into these 18, 19, 20-0, it's just like, man, when is this guy going to get his O taken? Especially when you're doing it by getting title defenses. Larissa Pacheco, we already said, can add Cyborg to the Kayla Harrison list, which would be unbelievable. And then Hernan Ferreira or Francis Ngannou.
But I was going to say, even if the old guard wins, right? You got Francis.
Yeah, Francis still has it. Cyborg still has it.
Like, you still got
AJ still got it.
You still got
pushing away
bankable stars. Yeah.
It's great, man. It's a fantastic card. Let's get one last look at it there. I mean, this is as good of a product as PFL can put out, in my opinion, at this point.
There are many times to be critical of promotions for what they are offering. This is not one of them. I am extremely interested in this offering. This is compelling here.
I feel like they've got just like besides Doombay, they've got just about all their biggest.
Who else could you add to this? That it's Patchy Mix, it's Doombay. There's like a few names out there that you're just like they could have been on there, but who knows? The timing couldn't have been right. We don't know what the reason is. This is the best offering, and kudos to them.
And you got the crown jewel in Ngannou. So
he is the pay-per-view draw. He is the star.
And the fight between Cyborg and Pacheco, I keep going back to it. It's a fantastic fight.
And we're going to be watching it here together.
Helwani Vision!
Helwani Vision, baby.
Saturday, not a watch party. You notice how every time he promos it, he's just like, just to remind you guys, it's not one of those bullshit watch parties where you're watching someone watch the fights. It's I'm going to have the fights on with me. This is a pay-per-view product. You're going to get to watch them with me.
Next Saturday, not this Saturday, but next Saturday.
You can watch one of
the
those
watch
bullshit
party.
ones where people watch you watch the fights. But we'll have a ton of fun with that. UFC 308. We'll get into all that next week. That is a stacked card. Cannot wait to talk about that one.
Another daytime one, by the way. Back-to-back
We're
daytimes.
blessed in October. It's the best month for a reason. MLB playoffs, NHL, NBA starting off, NFL. You always get banger cards. We got 2 pay-per-views this month. October's the best. You got the foliage. Pumpkin spice. You a pumpkin spice guy?
I'm not.
It'll shock you, but I'm a massive pumpkin spice guy. Caramel apple type flavors in September, pumpkin spice in October. You kind of start getting tired of it in November, but the good news is,
What's that, peppermint? What do we get?
It carries you to Thanksgiving. You just start getting into all the fall flavors in November, carries you into Thanksgiving, and then you switch over to the peppermint, the eggnog. I mean, now we're really talking. It's a great time of the year. It's a great time of the year.
Yeah, I'm not as attuned to the beats and rhythms of the changing of the flavors and things like that. So good luck with that.
They got beer on tap here.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Shout out. And they filled it up with Oktoberfest and pumpkin beer. I was just like, these people, they know me. They had coffee this morning and it was like trick or treat latte. I'm just like, this place is designed for me.
You are festive. We know this to be true.
If you're not festive, what are you doing? I mean, when it's about to get dark at 4 p.m. You got to have something to keep the heart pumping,
Yeah, I like to change my wardrobe, for the seasons and everything. Wear something different. By the way, I noticed you're wearing a tuxedo.
Yeah. I mean, a tuxedo.
You look pretty dapper.
I honestly feel like I'm underdressed because I wanted to have a red bow tie to go with our color scheme.
That would have been the move.
It didn't get here in time.
You could throw the war hat on. Actually, don't touch Helwani stuff.
No. Actually, you want to know the real truth? Yeah, you will freak out.
What's the real truth about that?
I mean, that's actually my war hat that I gifted to him. This is also my Poeton that I gifted to him. These are my marks I leave on the set, you see?
These are the things you get only here on the Boys in the Back. Shh.
Yes, shout out. Set looks beautiful, though.
It does.
It looks fantastic. We hinted at UFC 308. Let's talk a little bit about UFC this weekend.
Sure.
Before we answer some questions from the chat, then bring our new up-and-coming producer on to meet him.
Are they even there yet? I feel like they've been absent all day. I haven't seen them.
Nah, they've just been running around absolutely killing it, right?
Okay.
I figured.
We'll find out. Oh, are you getting something right now?
On air, Jordan is telling me that our producer is not happy, which
Wow.
I get. I get. He says, "Don't
Stick to the script, you guys."
Stick to the script. Okay. All right. Was that on air, Frank?
Yeah, that was on air.
That's very much on script. I enjoy it.
Only kidding. UFC Apex 99 this weekend. Main event is really the thing that I care about. It's a very top-heavy card, in my opinion. Anthony Hernandez taking on Michel Pereira. Michel Pereira, now known as middleweight Michel. 3 fights in. 3 wins. It's taken him a total of 3 minutes and 1 second to get those 3 wins. He has looked unbelievable. Hasn't lasted longer than your chair breaking?
No, it's my pack.
Dude, I thought your chair, I was waiting for you to collapse. I thought that was your chair falling apart. Michel Pereira, I don't think any of the fights have gone longer than 66 seconds since he made his middleweight debut. I don't know what's in the water at 185 for Michel, but he's looked absolutely tremendous. And then on the other side, Anthony Hernandez, who is as game as they come, 5-fight win streak, absolute killer. Just ability to dig deep, ability to finish you on the feet, ability to finish you on the mat. It's just 2 unbelievably game guys, 2 fun guys that are going to go at it. I can't wait, man. I wish this fight was happening in front of a crowd.
Yeah.
You're a little distracted there? Pack on the ground, you can't hear anything?
I can't hear anything. I hope my mic is still live. I'm blown away by what the middleweight experience has been with Michel Pereira. Are you hearing this?
Yeah, what is that, dude?
No, it's coming from my
Oh, is that static coming from the earpiece? I was like, is there it sounds like almost like a
This is a moment where I could definitely use
chicken
Mysterious
gobbler.
Frank. I can't even tell which one I'm supposed to unplug, if any. So we're just gonna keep going. Am I giving sound?
Frankie's running over here.
Okay, I'm
Frankie's
giving sound
running over
still. You can. Hear
I think. Let's check.
Either way, I've been blown away. I've been blown away by what Michel Pereira has been able to do since coming to middleweight. we always thought of him as just this guy who's like going to be in exciting fights. Like, oh, he's this kind of like sideshow. He's this attraction. He considers himself the entertainer of the sport, and he's just been like an efficient like machine. He's been an absolute like dominant machine since moving up to middleweight.
Yeah, it truly is unbelievable. I kind of zoned out there while you were talking. It sounded poetic, but Mysterious Frank is on his way. There he is. We're just going to keep the camera on me while you get up and get your pack fixed. And I wax poetic on UFC Apex 99. I mean, how does that sound? How does that sound, everyone? Andy, our technical director, just like groaned audibly when you walked in front of the camera, but that's okay. Rick, you got a pick for the main event, Michel versus Anthony Hernandez?
I think Michel gets it done.
I'm going Michel as well. He is the underdog. I don't think I'm going to be betting on it.
What's the line?
I think it's minus 135 Anthony Hernandez, plus 115 Michel coming back. But I think I'm just going to sit and enjoy this one. Maybe take an under. I feel like an under is kind of intriguing there. And then as you go on to the rest of Apex 99, Rob Font, Kyler Phillips, fantastic fight. Rob Font, massive underdog, plus 325. I feel like you can't really doubt Rob Font, man. I've known people who have done it. There we go. We got the topic bar. NewYorkRic struggling with his equipment. First show here, people. Give us a bit of a break. For as good as I look, we're still working out the kinks of the technology and everything like that. And now he's back.
I'm back. By the way, I feel like that's Frank's fault, but we'll let him catch up on that when he gets back to the back.
Rob Font, Kyler Phillips, minus 450 in that one.
Minus 450.
Yeah, I'm not going to doubt Rob Font that much, man. Rob Font has come through as a dog for me on several occasions. He can box anybody's face off. Kyler Phillips, I get. He's
on a roll, though.
Man. Minus 450. Minus 450.
Yeah, that seems steep. But I do like Kyler in the fight. I do feel like there's more ways to win for him. I think he's going to be a little too dynamic for Font. But man, there's a world where Font's just sitting down, jabbing. Like, you know what? Rob's been hit too much lately. That's the real problem. Rob's just been like hit way too much lately, and I think Kyler has a style that could really give him some problems. The line feels off though. Like if I'm going value only, if I'm going plus EV, I feel like it's on Font. But if I'm picking the fight outright, I do think Kyler Phillips is going to be able to get it done.
One more that I want to talk about. They have the Battle of the Giants going down in Saudi Arabia this weekend. Francis Ngannou, Hanan Pereira. There's also a Battle of the Giants happening at UFC Apex 99. That is the counterpoint to the main event in Saudi Arabia. The curtain jerker on UFC Apex 99 is their direct competitor. Robles de Spain returns. The gigantic Cuban.
Yeah.
I wanted to say Cuban Missile Crisis, but I know that's one.
That's Julian Marquez.
Julian Marquez. I was going to say the guy that fumbled the bag.
Yeah, fumbled the Miley Cyrus.
Tailor-made matchup for him against Austin Lane, another just gigantic man who loves to slug it out. 6'7" versus 6'6", 84-inch reach versus 80-inch reach, and 17 combined wins for these two guys. 16. Coming by way of knockout. This just feels like one that you sit down
under,
and you're not going to be there for long. Yeah, I mean I am taking the under in that fight for sure.
Yeah, it feels like a win for Desmond though. Like it feels like it's
it feels like
set up to get him. Yeah,
to get him back there.
Yeah.
Not going to do as official this time around. We don't have the graphics or anything built out for it. But the bets that I am on, I am actually on Pacheco Cyborg under 3.5.
Okay.
At minus 150. I do think that they are going to end up slugging it out.
You think they're going to stand in the middle and
just have such finishing capabilities? Pacheco, 7 of her last 10 wins have come by first-round knockout. Cyborg, 21 knockout wins throughout the course of her career. It just feels like this one is going to turn into fireworks at some point, and someone's going to get got. Off the basis of PC Carroll, I'm taking Paul Hughes. Hughes plus 150. One of these days we're going to get the Paul Hughes.
The feature on uncrown.com.
Pete Carroll, we haven't gotten that just yet, but I feel like me reading that is only going to further cement. Plus, like a real behind the scenes with Paul Hughes. He came in studio.
The piece is up right now, you guys.
Oh, it's up.
It's up
on the site. Yeah.
Pete didn't even know that. We talked to him an hour ago.
I looked for it an hour ago.
Dare I say breaking news?
Break the news. Can we just read it? online.
No, we're not going to read it online. You can go to uncrowned.com. You can go to uncrowned.com and read it.
They don't see it. I'll find it, though.
So it's not up.
I don't know.
What I will say is PT Carroll is going to come to you 1 p.m. tomorrow with the crack, and he spoke to Paul Hughes.
I love that, with the crack, yes. So anyway, he inspired me. Plus, breaking the fourth wall, Paul Hughes came in studio when we were doing the MMA Hour. Very nice guy. Introduced myself at the beginning.
Super nice, sweet, humble.
Incredibly nice guy. Introduced myself at the beginning, and at the end, he was just like, Conor, thanks so much, man. I'll see you later. I was
Love
just like,
that.
man. Remembers the name.
Remember a name.
Then he followed me on Twitter. I was like, this guy. I mean, it's hard not to support him. Plus, I got a 20. I did 23andMe, came back Irish. So I got to support my guy. You know?
Are we going to give a percentage, or are we just saying it's in there?
What do you think the percentage is?
13.
13% Irish is what you think it is?
Tell me.
Flip it, 86%.
86% Irish.
86% like Ireland, UK. They pointed out as my ancestry from Belfast, Northern Ireland.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Wow.
Irish. English.
Did we know this? I don't feel like
we had a good guess, but I mean, yeah. Now there's a reason me and Pizzi get along so well. There's a reason Guinness is my favorite drink, and now it all makes sense. And now I'm supporting big news, Paul Hughes.
But correct me if I'm mistaken. I thought we were talking like there was Germanic ancestry and things like that, or did I?
My dad was born in Germany.
But not by ethnicity.
People. Correct.
Got it. Okay.
Do you want to know what the other 14%?
Yes, I would love to.
Do you have any guess?
Oh God. No, because this will get me in trouble. Whatever I guess. So I'm gonna say absolutely effing not.
He's from New Zealand.
I wish. That would be really cool.
I'm at Australia. They're so close to each other. I get
also incorrect. That would have been really cool.
I can't hear it all.
When I was younger, I had like bleach blonde hair.
Swedish, Swiss.
Yeah.
What do we got?
Swedish. Shout out.
Good mix there.
Yeah. So I guess I have to be a Jack Hermanson fan.
I am desperate to know what my actual ethnicity, what I am, because it is very fragmented.
I'd love to see it too.
I don't want to give them my DNA, so I'm not gonna.
I had to spit in a tube.
Yeah, not gonna do it. But I would love to know one day, but I'm not gonna do it.
I'm literally biting my tongue. I was gonna make like a Hawk Tour reference, but I think we're better.
Oh boy.
Than that. I think we're better.
First show.
I think we're better than that. We already got the raw dog in. I think we are better than that. Yeah, took a while. But shout out to 23andMe, I guess.
Yeah, I mean,
actually, no, don't shout them out. They don't sponsor
it. It's a great service.
I used a DNA testing site, and they told me that I'm Irish and Swedish.
I would really like to.
Irish, English, and Swedish, and all of the above. I don't even know where we were going with this. How we got onto this? Oh, because
we were talking about Paul Hughes and you're Irish.
Jesus! Wow. No, we started with I'm betting on Paul Hughes. That was the long form.
Yeah, and you have the connection.
Why I'm betting on Paul Hughes.
Somewhere on uncrowned.com, there's
we will find
potentially a PT
we will
Carroll
find it.
Written article.
PT said his longest article in 10 years.
Yeah.
I can't wait.
He hasn't dusted off those chops, those specific chops.
Pour up a pint of the black stuff and enjoy a nice read this evening. That's on my to-do list. I support uncrowned.com, and I'm an article reader now. I used to be a book reader. Now I'm reading articles again.
Well, there's no better place than uncrowned.com.
Shout out. Shout out to Chuck. Shout out to PZ. Shaheen.
Shout out to Chuck, the man in the hat.
We're plugging everyone.
We mentioned him earlier. Shout out to the other man in the hat who we haven't mentioned, I feel like, during these shows, but essential part of this team, Ben Hefner.
Oh, Ben Hefner, the actual man in the hat.
An absolute legend, the secondary man in the hat.
Can we really break the fourth wall? This man sat on a meeting with us for an hour in a hat similar to Chuck Mendenhall. And then we get to the end of the meeting and he's just like, we're like, man, thanks so much for all the help, everything you've done on the tech side. He's just like, I'm a big fan. Pulls off the hat. Man in the hat.
Stud,
huge Chuck Mendenhall fan.
Yeah.
Love Shaheen Al-Shadi as well. Shaheen on that call.
He didn't say anything about us. Maybe he likes us, maybe
he doesn't. He does not like us. And I understand that. We're not for everybody.
But he's been incredible and super essential to what we're doing here. So shout out to Ben.
Okay, so Pacheco Cyborg under 3.5 minus 150. Paul Hughes money line plus 150. Then I'm doing a parlay. Johnny Eblin, minus 325. Francis Ngannou, minus 230. I think Francis gets it done. I think the level of competition is just too high. I still believe in him to be able to fight at a high skill. That's minus 118. And then just a nice violence parlay, just because I love them. You shouldn't do them. They're not the smart move, but I love cheering for violence.
Which
Spain,
ones? Okay.
Lane, under 1.5. That's minus 310, but I think that ends in the first round.
Minus 310. I thought that'd be like minus 6.
Feel confident that one ends in the first round. Hernandez Pereira under 4.5. That one's minus 550. I see a finish.
Yeah, probably.
And then Ngannou Ferreira under 3.5, minus 650. That pays out at minus 125. Just 4 bets for me this week. Nothing crazy. We will stack the deck for UFC 308. I can promise you.
Yeah, we'll start rolling into it a little.
We're getting going here. Should we decide whether or not we're going to do a parlay this weekend solely by if I have a message back from one Juliana Pena?
Oh, yes, please. I would love that.
No message back. No parlay this week. We will start the parlay next week.
Beautiful. That's it. Juliana, we love you. Congratulations, champ. And
here's the real question.
We'll do it.
She hasn't seen it. Okay. All right. We feel better. She didn't leave me on red.
Okay. Like last time. I mean, and by the way, she apologized for that. So like, I feel like we're starting on a clean slate, right?
Yeah, I've also been hitting her up on Twitter, so like I understand it. I don't read most of my messages also. I just can't. I just don't.
We're back. I feel like we're all back in good graces. Juliana's back on side with us. The champ, Juliana. Shout out to
champ. Really gets to do what she wants. She gets to dictate.
Yeah. No, we're in a good spot, and so we can start the parlay back up.
Heavy bets, parlay. We'll have graphics next week.
Hopefully.
Work in process.
Yeah, hopefully.
Work in process.
Music
next week for sure. That cold open was harder than I expected.
Well, also, I mean, we had the talk in the crosstalk in our ears.
Crosstalk in the ear. Also, I'm gonna go back and watch that. I'm gonna cringe a little bit because like, I thought that they were telling us that they didn't go live. If we're really breaking the fourth wall, I thought like we did the whole.
You thought we did it and then we had to reset.
There was so much talk. I could hear Frank, Jordan, and Andy all at the same time, and I thought they were like, "It's not live. It's not live. We got to reset. Stop down. I was like, "Do you hear them? Do you hear them talking?" We fought through it, though. We fought through it.
I'll say 2 things to that. One is I didn't think that, but then when I saw you like seemingly reset, I was like, oh, we are resetting.
Yes, I was like, what the fuck is going on?
I saw you do that. And secondarily, I have to confess, I have 0 volume in this right now.
Okay, all right. So will I have to?
You'll
have to bridge the gap between you and our producer.
Yeah.
And you know, I just have to say, there's no excuse for that start today. We rehearsed for hours and hours. We went through it a million times over, and we just, you know, so many times go live, we didn't get it right.
Yes, that's correct.
Are you texting right now?
I'm playing with texting. I'm playing with my belt pack.
You had to get a Magic the Gathering hand in?
Shout out to MTG.
All right, I say we finish this off with some questions from the chat that we won't be looking at. Frank
is going to read them.
Okay, is that kosher?
Maybe he can voice of God them while I'm dealing with this.
Yeah, I can do that. But you have to ask the chat to ask some questions, right?
Oh yeah, I guess that is a good point. We're really shaking off the rust here today, aren't we?
What did he say?
He said that we need to ask the question to the chat to ask us some questions.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I mean, fire away, guys. I mean, we got 20 minutes to kill here. I know this is no on the nose. This isn't as highly produced and highly sought after the advice from the sage ArielHelwani. But I mean, we're looking to hear from the chat and interact with the chat in this new era.
We have the first question.
Wow, we're men of the people, ear to the stone. On
the question is, did you wear the tuxedo on the train on the way to the studio today?
Yeah. I mean, you don't have to get ready if you stay ready. Tuxedo, gold watch. I feel like we keep forgetting about the completely golded out watch that I'm wearing as well. Bow tie. This is the whole shebang too. We got the cummerbund. I mean, I can do a walk. I can do a fashion show for you guys.
There are children watching those.
I got the pants on too. I mean, I could get married today. Anybody out there?
Love this.
I mean, we're rocking and ready to roll. And yeah, I'm gonna have to wear it home as well. So that's my commitment to the bit. This is Rick's commitment. doesn't even wear anything. It's absolutely.
I'm over here asking Frank how to do this, and they're just airing me out on cam.
I mean, it's a great reminder of how good I look in a tuxedo. I had a stretch in April where I felt like I was wearing a tuxedo every other weekend. Haven't worn one since. Looks good though. I didn't get to trim my beard this week. We've been really busy. I like to go to a barber for the beard. Never got to make it happen. Doing it tomorrow morning.
Maybe you have more reference for this question, but who was the man in the chair? Is the question.
I can't reveal that. I know who it is. One of the greatest moments in the show history to date. In the 3-day history of the ArielHelwani show, the man in the chair is one of the greatest moments. The chat at the time was one of the funniest things I've seen. The tweets that have come out about it. Whoever tweeted the time traveler kicks rock thing, and it ends up with the man in the chair. That was an all-time moment. That was an all-time moment. I was laughing hysterically as it was happening live. I don't know if everyone else shared the same sentiment as me, but now I'm seeing everyone laugh at it since. But the man in the chair was an excellent moment. So not only do we have the man in the hat, we now have the man in the chair, a legendary figure in this space.
Hey, so there's another question that I need you to relay to Rick while he...
No, I can hear.
Okay.
I can hear.
Well, thank you.
Keep it rolling, brother.
So this is from Jonah Friedman to Rick, and he's asking,
Wow,
when
specific.
can we expect an MMA beat reunion?
Dude, the amount of people that are asking for the MMA beat.
I hope that it's coming soon. I mean, as you can imagine, Ariel and I have been discussing like what are some potential options for things like that. There's only one man that can answer that though, and that's ArielHelwani. So we'll have to see what he says about that. But rest assured, the void in the space for that has been noted. Your interest in that has been noted, and we'll take it from there.
I think it would absolutely kill. People love that.
Yeah. I mean, we get requests for it all the time. And
all it ever is just when are people bringing back the MMA beat?
yeah, we will have to see where that goes. But this question,
we are pro MMA beat. View this show as a vehicle to get the MMA beat back.
That's
all we're here
We're going to be bandwagoning for the
That's all we're
MMA
here
beat.
for.
All right. Now, DX97 asks, which MMA media personality should Oscar Willis fight next?
Man, I don't know. That's a good question. I don't know if it needs to be a media member.
Yeah, I don't think it should be, if I'm being honest.
I want to see him fight anyone at this point. He's obviously has skills.
Yeah, they're kind of like hoping for like a, oh, this guy would kick this guy's ass media rivalry thing. Like, I feel like the reason the Oscar and Ben the Bane Davis work thing was because it wasn't that. It wasn't like, this is my guy, this is your guy. It was kind of like everybody liked both of them, and I think that's the right approach. So I don't know. I don't want to see him like.
You have to find someone in Oscar's weight class as well. Like Ben and him were similar sizes.
He was big. He was clearly bigger by the time. Like
but not by a ton. Like I mean, Oscar Willis couldn't fight like a John Morgan. He's not in his weight class.
But I don't want to see him fight any media members. I don't want to see any media members hurt each. Like it's good. It was that moment, and now we're good.
I'm with you. This doesn't need to be a media member beat. When I was like gassing up the fight, and people were like, "When are you getting in the ring?" I was just like,
"No,
that's not it. I'm just supporting you guys."
Yeah. Because the vehicle for what we do is fights. Everything is then a fight, right? Like. Because what we cover and what we talk about is fights. Now it's like you have to fight him and he has to fight him, and it's just like that's not our part of the game.
Though. It was an amazing moment.
Yeah, incredible by both. Incredible by both. And thank you to Oscar for coming on.
And before we jump to the next question, I do have a shout out.
Who?
Jay Kamya.
Who's that?
That is a man on Twitter at Jay Kamya J. He said the greatest birthday present he's ever received is this show starting today on his birthday. So happy birthday to him, man.
Love that.
Happy birthday, indeed.
Hopefully you get a better gift tonight than us starting this show. But we very much appreciate it.
We appreciate
that
a lot.
And with that real talk, the chat has gotten extremely real because they're asking me directly. In fact, this is 24-inch Dubs wants to know what is the snack situation at the Yahoo offices.
Break it down.
Oh yeah, I would love to hear Frank do this.
So, look, there are snacks. And that's great. There's so many soda waters. There's Gatorade.
Yep. You've been loving those Gatorades. Every time I see you, you look like prime Michael Jordan.
I'm just going to jump straight to it. This is the coolest thing that I have to share about these Yahoo. We have a barista that's here in the lobby serving drinks on the house, makes eye contact with you, says, have a wonderful day. It doesn't matter how many times you come up there. And trust me, I have tested. How many times can you come up there before they're like, sir, please, you're not the only person here. I've tested it, and every time they're happy to see me.
Let's also be clear. This is not some dude just like getting some coffee for you. This guy's making up specialty drinks. Every day at lunch, Frank's like, all right, Connor, am I grabbing 2 matcha lemonades for us? Meet you in the control room? I'm just like, this is great.
Yeah, nobody's taking more advantage of it than Frank. Frank, we go soda water over seltzer? Is that correct?
You know what? I go either way depending on who I'm talking to. I forgot I'm talking to a official New Yorker here. So
yeah,
it's
go seltzer.
I'm so sorry.
You can ask on air Jordan over there. It's always seltzer.
Now when it comes to
I'm a seltzer guy as well. Favorite brand of seltzer?
Perrier.
House?
Mine's House New York. This is not a sponsorship.
This is a promo right
if
now.
they want to sponsor us, this is I love mine as bubbly as possible. I want it to hurt when it goes down. I want the biggest burps as possible. I want this thing to, I mean, do you hear that? When you open these, you do the first twist, and it starts like it's gonna explode.
If you shook it, is it a grenade?
It's a grenade. The first open, it like flies up to the top like it's gonna explode. You have to close it back. That's a House expert knows this. Anyone that drinks House out there knows this. And then you reopen it and you chug this thing, and it's just like burns your esophagus going down in the best way possible. And then you just like if you have an upset stomach, I mean. House comes in great flavors.
That was either the worst best endorsement or the best worst endorsement, and I don't know which one it is, but it's one of those.
Sounds like the ocean.
So
it's great.
This is good audio right here.
I think we found Ariel's burner phone, but here's another important question that we have to answer.
Yes.
It says it's from TCH.
Okay.
And it says, did Ariel take his mic home, or like where is it?
That is not from Ariel. I think that's actually a valid question. We're just kind of sitting here freeballing it.
They donated $20 to the mic fund to help our current situation.
Wow, is that what they call it? The kids are calling a super chat?
That's what we call a super chat.
Wow, shout out to CCH.
And I've just been informed by On-Air Jordan that is not $20, that is 20 pounds. He's actually giving me a stern looking right now.
Isn't that more, though?
It's stronger than
the
US dollar right now.
But it's very important to him, the currency is, so I'm
you and On-Air Jordan seem to have a little bit of a beef. Can we break that down here on the air?
I've been getting that sense too, to be honest. Yeah, he's still giving me side eye right now. So.
Okay, wow, 20 pounds is $26.
Wow, shout out.
All right, so shout out to TCH. I'll let you know. I'll break the fourth wall because of that donation. This is the mic right here.
Gentle,
Look at this.
gentle.
Look at this thing.
Careful.
It's like a fish that I just caught.
Don't show it unplugged.
I'm just holding it like this. It's like a fish. That'll go back in its resting spot here. But yeah, it's here. It's here.
Does that make you nervous, Frank, when he's like handling it like that?
Yeah, absolutely. Because
this makes you nervous?
Stop it. Like my heart rate just went up.
Something just cracked in it.
Okay.
I think you have to come back. I'm just kidding.
Wow. All right. So we have another question from Trin Wolf. And this one's for Rick specifically.
Trin Wolf, great name.
Shout out Trin.
Can you give a movie recommendation for the spooky season?
Oh, yes. We
man.
talk a lot of movies behind the scenes.
We talk a lot of movies. I talk a lot of horror. This is hard because I feel like there's like ones that I'm into right now in this moment. Then there's the ones that I'm into like just generally. All right, let's do some breaking down. If you like body horror, which is like grotesque stuff, and not necessarily like, oh my god, jump scare, like oh my god, like you get chills, but more like, oh, like I'm uncomfortable because of how grotesque this is. The Substance, which is out right now, is incredible. Really loved it. That's a controversial take.
You really need to like that genre, I will say. I've seen it as well. You need to like that genre.
Love that movie. If you're more into like the jumpy, scares, like that type, some of the better ones, but one of my personal favorites that I always recommend is The Descent, which is a movie about these female spelunkers who go into a cave and who knows what else is in that cave.
That movie is rough.
It's a pretty gnarly one, and that's one of my favorites. Sets the tone really well. There's a movie out right now called Speak No Evil. It's actually a remake of, I believe, a Danish film. I think it's Danish, but it could be like Swedish, it could be Scandinavian, somewhere in there, but I believe it's Danish. Of a Danish film. That film is the one I would actually watch, so go see that. That one's actually like a real like skin crawly, like intense kind of scare and will kind of stick with you for quite a while. But then generally, like I'm a big like classic slasher, Halloween, Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, all the Chucky, all that, all the Child's Play rather, that's the name of the series. All those core kind of horror movies, those are in my wheelhouse. Then you get like The Conjuring and all the ones that came out in the early 2010s ish. You can't go wrong. Just throw on Shudder. Shudder's like the horror streaming platform. Throw that joint on and watch something. But my strongest recommendation is always The Descent. That's my movie.
Interesting.
Frank, I know you're itching back there.
All right.
I can feel it.
Let's cut to the chase.
You want to make a recommendation. Frankie Rex in the building. This is our newest character.
The only recommendation I'm making today.
Franklin recommendations. Bring us in,
You
Frankie.
have to watch Hellraiser.
Oh, that's a good shout.
Clive Barker. It's weird to like I watch it with my friends. Okay, you've never seen Hellraiser? The problem is the main villain's name is Frank. So like during the whole movie, they're like, Frank, leave me alone. Like, oh Frank, don't do that. And I'm just looking there like kind of embarrassed because I'm like, that's my name, and now I feel that happens a lot. Yeah, actually.
But do you feel like Hellraiser is like really scary?
It's just so well done. The imagery, like people have been standing on the shoulders of giants, and the giant is Hellraiser.
I'm a Hellraiser guy, but I just don't know. Like, it doesn't scare me. You know what I mean? Like, it's I don't know.
I think you become desensitized. But we're moving on to another question.
Who did you make that recommendation to, Frank? Do you remember the guy's name?
Trin, right?
Oh, Trin.
Trin.
Well, unfortunately, now you're going to be asked every time you see Mysterious Frank if you have seen Hellraiser.
Yeah.
That's really breaking the fourth wall.
Frankie Rex.
That one hurts a lot.
Frankie Rex.
You watch it yet? You watch it?
But we have another question actually for Rick. This is from Kowloon City. Eric, who is your favorite member from the Costco Guys universe?
Oh, this is a great question.
However, there's a little bit more info. Come on, guys. I'm proud of you, pal. Give the donation to the Girl Scout Fund, your favorite troll.
Yes, Nicholas. That's my guy.
Is that his real name? Kowloon City?
Yeah, that's his name.
Kowloon City is always in my mentions.
He's a longtime DMer. Who's my favorite from the what?
The Costco Guys universe.
Guys.
Oh, the
Big Justice.
Okay.
AJ.
Now, he's been known to be a bit of a troll, for lack of a better word. And
that's not for the lack of a better word. That's what he is.
I don't. I only come across these guys randomly on my timeline. I don't know the content that well. All I know about them is they come on and they say boom.
Yeah. Well, that's the ranking system is the boom meter.
So it's like multiple booms?
Yeah, like 5 booms would be a perfect score.
See, I've never seen this.
When you do that, you got to flex down, like almost as if you're dabbing, and like you got to show off your biceps and scream boom.
I don't know much about them, and I think that's why he's asking, because he's trolling me. But I will say, the Rizzler kid, he does like the face.
Yeah. I'm not gonna lie, that would be like the casual take to just automatically go with the Rizzler. He's an amazing character.
He's everybody's favorite?
Yeah, I mean, of course.
Okay.
Cute, chubby kid that does.
Well, there's the other kid.
Yeah, he's got nothing on the.
Okay, so I'm
DMing everyone a YouTube video that fully explains the Costco Guys. It's called Costco Guys Full Lore Explained. Everybody needs to be up to date on this if we're gonna keep doing this show.
Wait, so are you like obsessed with the Costco Guys? Is that what I'm learning?
I'm just aware of them. I understand their importance.
Okay, because you've read this lore. No,
I just watch them. I just know.
Yeah, I don't.
Chicken bake or double chunk chocolate cookie?
Wait, they have that at Costco? Cookie?
Wow, you actually aren't a Costco guy.
No, I'm a Costco guy, but I know the chicken bake. They have
chicken
a cookie?
Bake, double chunk chocolate cookie, hot dogs, pizza.
No, hot dog pizza,
ice cream,
chicken salad, frozen yogurt or ice cream, the strawberry swirl. I didn't know about the cookie. I've never gotten the cookie.
Double chunk chocolate cookie. That's the whole. That's what these guys lean on. It's a main pillar.
I don't know these guys, though, is what I'm saying. He asked me this question because I don't know these guys.
Sounds like we have to make a trip
trolled, I guess,
to Costco and get some double chunk chocolate cookies.
Is it good?
Or a chicken bake.
Chicken bake, I know.
I'm not going to give you my opinion until you've had both of them. I don't want to.
I've had the bake, and I like it, but I've never had the cookie.
I also wanted to read another
Rizzler
question.
is my answer, though.
Okay, I like it.
I'm Rizzler too.
But I'm casual. Oh, then you're giving me shit.
He showed up at MSG in the jersey. It was great.
I wanted to personally thank Jonah for being such a loyal fan of the show and ask another question from Jonah Friedman. It says,
dude, those guys are so famous.
Yeah.
The Costco guys? It's crazy. Yeah, sorry.
Are we ready to move on?
Yeah, Jonah.
Yeah, all right.
What's up with Jonah?
Does anyone in the team remember what 13 shekels means? Ariel has explained it not once, not twice, but many times.
I have no idea.
I don't even know what you're talking about.
Wow. Good thing I do.
You do?
No. Shekels is a currency. I know that much.
Yeah.
For what country?
No, it was like an old-time currency. Like, I don't think it is.
For Israel, man. Come on.
Oh, is it real?
Yeah, you guys are, You were so concerned about being, with it earlier.
With what?
With
it's the Israeli dollar?
Well, yes.
Okay.
13 shekels is $3.48.
There we go.
Okay, but what does that have to do with...
It's actually $18 according to 18...
The Israeli new shekel?
18 shekels is $4.82.
Okay. I thought we said 13 shekels.
I probably did. The 18
what
and
is
the
point of
13
this?
look.
Get to the point of this.
That was the question. If you remembered what it was and you could explain it on air.
I don't know.
Oh, no.
I don't.
Well,
I
you
don't
clearly
know.
didn't, and then we've done it together. I feel like the question has been answered.
Yeah, I have no idea what you're talking about.
I'm
We're
like
just in the dark
sweating
here.
so bad right now. Like,
Frank, you picked a great one.
really?
Let's just move on to the next one, man.
You know what? Cole B wants to know from Rick.
Wow, I'm
What
getting a
is-
lot of like direct ones.
I know
Today.
this is a clear.
This is
clear cut,
nice.
man.
This is nice. What are your 3 top YouTube channels for film and TV reviews?
See, I'm not a big. Okay, this is actually going to be. I feel like this will be a better question for you or Frank potentially. You guys are more YouTube. You guys are more like that's the hole you guys go down. I'm strict podcasts. Like I am only listening to podcasts. Like
Wow.
even at home, I'm listening to podcasts. Obviously, on the MTG arena as well, playing a little Magic the Gathering. You know, I'm a nerd. I'm just gonna come out and say. I have some great podcast ones, but I don't have great YouTube ones. Podcast ones, we'll just knock them off in case there's any other podcast people out there. I love How Did This Get Made? Tremendous podcast. I love The Big Pick from The Ringer. It's an absolutely incredible one. What's another good one? There's another good one. The Watch is a good TV one, but they also have kind of just become multimedia for TV and movies. I think Chris Ryan is like one of the most talented dudes in like multimedia in the podcasting space. I'm a big fan of The Watch and just a big fan of things he's doing. And then, also The Ringer. The Ringer really has like the best like film and entertainment podcasts. The Rewatchables on The Ringer is incredible as well. So those are my podcast film recs, but I'm totally podcast and I really don't like go down the YouTube rabbit hole with that
I
stuff.
guess I've never really watched it on YouTube. Have you, Frank?
Yeah, I do watch a lot on YouTube. And I would say What Happened is a good one. It's very similar to How Did This Get Made? But it really, like, a lot of stuff from back, in the production. I've only heard a couple of How Did This Get Made episodes, so I can't do a complete comparison.
This
but
is more behind the lens?
more behind the lens. Like
Okay.
some crazy, like, they've definitely been doing some true, like, reporting for months just to get all these facts straight. Because they bring out some stuff that's like, damn, I did not know that. So that's my recommendation, is called What Happened.
Behind the Lens, LENZ, yeah?
Oh, wow. It's
Behind the
Through the Lens.
Through the
Through
lens.
the lens. Through the...
So we have actually a question from Taco Enthusiast to GC.
There we go.
Are we all the way back on the Falcons? The
All the way
stadium
back.
has been electric this year.
Wow, I love this reading from Frank and the enthusiasm. Yeah, I mean, how could you not be back? We're 4-2, 3-0 in the division. Kirko Chains leading us to victory. Bijan Robinson is a beast. Defense is there. Are they going to win a Super Bowl? Like, probably not. But to have my team be exciting for the first time in like 6 or 7 years is cool. It's cool to see. I actually love sitting down on Sundays and being able to watch them and have a hope that they're going to win and make the playoffs and everything like that. So yeah, we are all the way back in.
Nice.
Oh, Frank.
It's the best idea to have Frank read.
I love the dramatic reading there.
I mean,
We got anything else or what?
well, you guys tell me, like,
Yeah, let's do one more.
all right. Well, the last one I would say is from Roundhouse MMA. What's the likelihood we see a BMF Grand Prix in the UFC? Who would...
Oh, the Dustin proposal, yeah. Okay.
So this is where it gets dicey. I don't know how to pronounce this, but I'm going to try. Who would the Conor Burks Gomedov and the NewYorkRic like to see in the tournament? P.S. I actually met the Rizzler at the Tampa airport. He's very chill.
Oh, wow. That's
So-
actually great to hear that a
Yeah, we
star that
picked
big
it.
is actually chill in real life. That's fantastic to hear.
Star that big.
Will a BMF Grand Prix actually happen? No. There's just no way they're gonna book a multi-fight one-night tournament. I just don't see it happening. How could you?
But
have
what about the multiple event version?
Yeah,
that,
let's do
that
it.
Dana seemed open to.
Yeah, that I could actually see happening, especially if Dustin Poirier has.
Well, that's the problem.
fights?
If Dustin has 2 more fights, they would have to be in that, and it almost like kind of like precludes it a little bit. No, because what if Dustin loses that and then he's out of the tournament? I don't know. I could see it. They do. I mean, isn't any time 2 different matchups happen and then the winner of those two face off? Isn't that a mini tournament? Like they do mini tournaments just by default at a certain point. I guess if they try to like be intentional with it and say like these 4 guys are going to, or girls, if they were doing a female BMF, are going to fight and then they fight the winners, I could see it. It's good. It's good marketing. It's good branding. I think to the point that who was it yesterday? Somebody yesterday was talking about the BMF, and no, it was us. We were talking about the BMF on the heels of Dustin Poirier speaking about the BMF. What the hell is the like rules of the BMF? Nobody seems to know. Like Jorge Masvidal never lost it because he never fought for it again, and it was now the lineal BMF is Bilal Muhammad, and Max Holloway is clearly a BMF, but like has the belt right now. But who knows what happens if Max loses? Like, is Ilya the BMF? Does the BMF ever resurface? There doesn't seem to be like a hard and fast rules to this BMF thing, so it'd be hard for them to then all of a sudden be like, this is the BMF tournament. Well, maybe they do. I don't know. Ultimately, if the fights that they are considering, if the fights that have been talked about by Dustin Poirier and Dana White and others are made, I'm happy for it to be the faux BMF. I'm happy for it to be the spiritual BMF. And by the way, like Kaposa, shout out to Kaposa on X on Twitter, has always had like violence weight, and there's a lineal title for that. So I don't know. It could be in spirit, even if it's not legitimate.
Yeah.
BMF.
I'm BMF all the way. So if we can get that, then
like solidified. Like you want the.
Here's a real scenario that that will never happen. But we go Ilya, if he beats Max, we have him just jump 155 and go up to try to go for double champ status at 170 against
right off rip
against Bilal Muhammad to unify the BMF title, because technically Bilal Muhammad is the lineal BMF champ.
Do we care about the BMF?
You're talking to the only person that cares about
You might
the BMF.
be. I care so little about the BMF.
No one actually cares about it. No one actually cares. It's just a cool prop to have.
I think that. I feel that, but then when people talk about it, BMF always comes, like they...
I mean, Ilya bought a BMF belt.
Nate Diaz has done something here. He created something that like has lasting power and has longevity. I just don't, it doesn't have like significance for me. I really don't care who's holding it, but I will say Max Holloway is the most rightful owner of it, and it probably should just never be used again. Max should just hold it forever.
I do wish it was on the line against Ilya, though.
But like,
if you got the belt, you might as well.
It kind of is, right? It's just like
it also
whatever.
would look cool for whoever wins. You got the gold and the silver.
Usman did the Photoshop where he was holding the BMF.
Right. I want to see it in real life. Plus, like, man, it'd be sick for Ilya or Max to have gold.
I say who cares, but then everybody cares. Everybody seems to care about the BMF. I don't know.
All right, that's it for questions. We'll figure out a more streamlined way to answer those. But it's time for our second guest of the day.
Our new producer.
Our newest producer. Young and upcoming kid. Feel like he kind of got in because he's a Syracuse alum. So is the guy that hosts this show.
I need to know what time he got back there, because he's been like absent all day. We've had work to do since 10 a.m.
I've been here.
Oh.
I've been here for years, motherfucker.
Look at this guy.
I've been here for fucking...
ArielHelwani joins the show.
It's nice back here. The
Look
view is
at
nice
him.
back here. Oh, yeah, I can start pointing fingers.
Look
I
at
can
him in
start
the
making
hoodie.
shots. I can start calling out things I don't like. Oh, it's nice. The view is nice back here. Many a thought. First off, congratulations. Well done. You guys are killing it. You look fantastic. We could have our post-show meeting right now. We could break the fourth wall right now, and I could point out
Let's debrief.
all my thoughts. Number one, the font size on Frank's computer is borderline.
You're just now discovering this.
He's an
I've
absolute
never seen
maniac.
anything like this. It is giving me tremendous anxiety as he's reading these questions while reading them with a fucking magnifying glass. It's unbelievable.
Can we talk about that? They gave him a larger laptop and he demanded a smaller one and then made the font even smaller.
It's absolute
the
lunacy.
tiniest thing I've ever seen on earth.
He is not even accurately like describing how small this font is. Like he's doing a good job of highlighting it. It is comically small.
Every time I see someone look over Frank's shoulder for the first time, they all say,
No, it's
"Why is your
bizarre.
text
It's
so
the first time I see it. I've never seen anything like it. It's crazy.
Wait, do we have to hold on?
Giving you all my thoughts.
But the fact that you're like here, welcome to the show.
Oh, thanks for having me. It's nice to be here. I mean, no one asked for my thoughts on anything leading up to this show, so I figured I just had to muscle my way in here.
Okay, keep going.
By the way,
going.
I've seen all the things that you've touched, GC. I know exactly where they were beforehand.
All right, so you can just put them back.
When I walk right in there, they better be back where they were.
This is great. Then.
The idea. I'd love to know whose idea was to not use the $5,000 microphone that we bought a week ago.
That was the audio guy. That
yeah, no. Trust me, it has been addressed. Okay, it has been addressed.
Did you see the issue earlier with the pack fell out?
Oh, trust me, I saw it all. If you could only see how much I've been sweating back here watching all this stuff that we've built over the last 2 weeks that you guys have built with your hands and your blood, sweat, and tears, only to just get tossed aside for $6 lavs and $4 IFBs. Rick up there struggling. I mean, I don't understand. Put some cans on, use the fancy microphone, and off we go. I don't know what we're trying to do here. By the way, this is the guy, Frank, who sends me a Megillah of a text message last night saying, could we do more audio-only podcasts because they sounded so good when you were in the podcast room? Walk in here, and you're using lavs. I don't know of a single podcast on the planet, Frank, that use lavs these days. I don't know of a single... name one. That use lavs. Now it's become standard procedure to walk around with these big fakakta microphones when you're doing interviews with Donald Trump. That's how far away we've gone from the lavs. We used to do Barbara Walters specials with lavs. Now we're walking around with these massive microphones to interview Barack Obama and heads of state. But we decide in our fancy new studio to bring back the 1987 lavs. It's a great call.
In my defense,
Frank, answer for this.
One of my favorite podcasts is the Law of Microphone Enthusiast.
Of course.
Of course. These two guys, they chatted up.
On Lob.
Rick, I'm going to need a ride home tonight.
Yeah.
Producer Helwani with the takes here, and also
By the way, don't forget my entrance into this business wasn't a control room. I was producer first before I was talent. So you joke, but I've been here. I've been here for a long time. I decided to go what you guys are doing from the control room to front of the. That's right. To front of the camera. By the way, thumbs up to the chat, everyone. Thumbs up to the chat.
Can we talk about how much Helwani just absolutely ripped on us for our headroom the other day? And here he is.
Oh, no, I'm doing this on purpose. I want you to see what I'm seeing. You see my posture? This is normal posture. I'm doing this on purpose. I want you guys to experience what I experienced sitting in the hot seat, okay?
Now, was the hoodie a choice? Was that like
this is my mood right now, okay?
Okay.
I need my winter coat like you to put that one on, the puffy coat. That's what I really want. Do you know how sweaty? Can you see the sweat on my palms right now?
Okay, but truly, how cold is it back there right now?
It's actually not as bad as it was. No, it's actually not as bad.
I'm not lying.
What the hell? Why am I freezing back there?
Most of the heat, by the way, might be emanating from me.
What are you so mad about? The mics?
We don't need to talk about it.
I feel like the criticism's all aimed at Frank right now.
You know what?
It's not aimed at anyone. This is open. This is open talk. This is real talk among friends. Thumbs up to the chat. Thumbs up to the chat.
Yep.
What else we got? Let's go. Keep going.
Oh, you want me to go through my whole list?
Yes.
Well, I thought that's what you.
I am the producer. We spoke about this with On Air Jordan. The red text over the black bars makes no sense. We need white text over black bars. It's impossible to read that. I needed to go through like one of those things. So look, this is what a producer does, right? He comments on production quality things.
That's it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay. No, we need to work on the IFB for Rick. Obviously, you couldn't hear anything that was problematic. I think you also heard some there it is. See? There it is. You see the difference? See the difference? We were making those calls on the fly. Rick, I'm working on your IFB situation. I don't know if you can hear me right now. Okay, you can.
I can.
Yeah. And we'll get the mics sorted. Would it have killed you to wear the tuxedo shirt, Rick? Would it have killed you?
Can we talk about that?
It would
reminded him all week, and then the first thing I hear after I lug this thing in on the subway and everything, and all I hear is I got to run to Target. I'm like, Target's not gonna have a tuxedo T-shirt.
This is boy stabbed in the back at the moment. How dare you?
What?
I asked you.
I've seen you in the tuxedo shirt.
No. It exists, and it was intended to be worn. I knew there's so much going on. We gotta
shows and stuff.
Do a new show.
There has been a lot.
We're giving them a little bonus episode. By the way,
he had it on this morning.
Tune in at 4 p.m. Ariel will be talking to Alex Pereira.
Our host ArielHelwani will arrive.
Oh, thanks.
Give a little plug for that. There's a lot going on. I tell Conor yesterday, I'm like, I'm going to wear this tuxedo T-shirt, but I know I'm not going to remember. So what I need from you, as my compatriot, as my comrade, as my co-host, as my fellow boy in the back, I need you to send me a text to remind me. And he said,
wow.
I got you, G. No problem.
Hung you out the draw.
Bullshit.
That's right.
This was me unconsciously telling you, you're a grown adult. You need to just remember, you made a commitment to something. You need to just remember to do it.
It's a fair point. I can't argue. It's a fair point. Do I regret it? No, I don't. This is my look, and you're going to have to get used to it. So it is.
Do have some breaking news.
Tell us.
All jokes aside, obviously love you guys. Red Corner MMA, which is usually a very good source, reporting that Umar Nurmagomedov is going to face Song Yadong on December 14th in Tampa, Florida. Now, I have not right here and now verified this, but I did hear 2 days ago that this was the plan, and I was shocked, obviously, because we all know that the plan was Merab versus Umar Nurmagomedov. So they're reporting it. I had heard it 2 days ago. We'll try to verify if it is in fact true. So I want to preface this, but this is something that I did hear a couple days ago and was confused as to why they're not going in the direction. And do you remember when we had Sean O'Malley on?
Yes.
I said, I feel like you know something, right? That's when I had heard of it. I heard about it the day before.
Headlining that fight night in Tampa?
Yeah, that's the word, 5 rounds. And that's a huge fight, but a massive
That's not
departure.
A title fight. That is not
a massive
title
departure from what we all thought was going to happen, and perhaps leads to more speculation that Sugar Sean is going to, in fact, get the rematch against Merab. Your thoughts?
First of all, great producing. Thank you for flagging this information for us. Like, naturally, that's great stuff from you.
Oh, thanks.
And the reporting coverage as
You get
well.
a little bit of brown on your nose there.
No, I don't want the headroom. Please give me less headroom. I want it to be. I'm kidding.
He wants to sink into the chair. Yeah, shocking. But I will say now something else that Sean O'Malley said makes it. Certainly, I think you had a little bit of foreknowledge, and when you were talking to him, it kind of painted the picture. Him saying that Merab is scared of Umar and doesn't want to fight Umar now makes a little more sense to me as well, because it felt a little bit out of left field at the time. I was like, why would he say this? What is this about? I'm sensing that he's taking an opportunity to get one over on him because he knows that maybe that fight is not the fight that is going to be made next, and now he can kind of push that narrative as a way to detract from Merab. So that whole it's like when you go back and watch Memento or The Sixth Sense for the first time, like everything is now like clicking into place on why it took place that way. Bizarre. I have no idea why they would do that. Do you have any idea why they would do that?
I'm texting people right now. I'm trying to figure this out as we speak because
Star
it
power
is.
of O'Malley? Like, I don't know.
But you can do O'Malley. He's recovering. You can just do O'Malley fights the winner.
Yes, I don't know. I don't know. It just seems odd.
Is there any way maybe Merab's hurt? Do we know if Merab is healthy?
I do not think so. I know he is overseas. He's
if Merab's
he's
hurt,
in the
then
Middle
you would
East
think
right
Omar
now.
would just wait.
Yeah, bizarre, man.
Well, the good news is this is a big day for all of us because we've got a second show coming up, a special edition of the program beginning at 4 p.m. Eastern with the champ himself, Shama or no Shama?
Shama. Do the arrow thing.
He went like this, he goes like this, and he goes, ah. We all saw it in action, remember, at the
at the live show.
Pack, at the NJ Pack on, what was that, May 31st, the night before the pay-per-view on June 1st?
That's right.
In any event, we can talk more about it. Obviously, we'll talk to Alex Pereira. We can talk more about it. I don't usually do a show on Thursday. Let's not get crazy here. I signed up for 3 days.
You were surprised you're even here, to be honest.
No, I know you were. But hopefully we'll get more answers on this situation. And I do want to let all the super chatters know who were upset that I didn't get to their questions yesterday. I'm going to answer all of them after the Pereira interviews. So your support is not going unnoticed. We're working through the kinks. But it's important to tell everyone, thumbs up to the chat.
Thumbs up to the chat.
Thumbs up to the chat. Yeah.
What's our thumbs up to the chat? What's our version?
We got to come up with something. There's something. We need something that pops more, you know?
Should we try and get the Rizzler on here?
That would be sick, but there's no way. We're not big enough.
He's such a star.
Yeah, there's absolutely no way. There's no way.
What else do we got? I think we're good.
I think that's it, man. 3:15. I think we're getting kicked out of here, honestly. We got to make room for the light heavyweight.
I mean, you still have some set redressing to do.
It's gonna take so long. The belt and the jersey.
Wow, so not only are we're getting kicked out of the studio, and not only that, we're having Ariel's music played over us to kick us out. It's like when the Sandman comes on at the Apollo.
Said, hit the music, Frank.
Wow.
Yeah, wow. He was serious about that 315 hard out. It's gonna take us about 90 seconds to flip the set.
Well, we're done. Great show.
That's it.
That was
Great
fun.
show. Yeah, one in the books. You know, we're working through the kinks. We'll have music next week.
So Frank, I think what we've learned, right? Weird ear canals.
Definitely.
Pack doesn't stay on belt. Like we're just a mess.
Can we break the fourth wall on that?
Does it even matter? I feel like the lobs are dead after our producer.
The batteries
had
got
that
dislodged when they fell.
outrage.
But my man Jackman, he wears his pants down.
I sag a little bit.
A couple.
Is that
maybe
it?
Classic
8
New Yorker.
inches.
They don't call him NewYorkRic for nothing.
Anyway,
I do sag a little bit.
we're
I'll
efforting
admit.
here. It's fine.
Effort. I'll
We'll
circle
circle
back.
back,
Yep,
yeah.
circle back.
We appreciate it, Frank. But yeah, man, that was fun.
One in the book.
Should we do it every single week? I think that'd be a good idea.
We're gonna have to. I don't think we have a choice.
Good. Thank you for everybody who submitted a super chat. We hope to do that every single time.
Thank you for everyone that watched. Period.
And everybody
I cannot
out
tell
there
you how
who's
much
watching.
we appreciate that.
Don't miss 4 p.m. Ariel and Alex Pereira. Don't miss tomorrow, Pizzi Carroll with the crack, and Saturday,
Helwani
Vision. I mean,
And then we're right back to re-rack it for the next week. 3 Ariel Helwani shows, a boys in the back, a crack, a watch party.
Another watch party.
It don't stop around these parts.
We did it.
Next Thursday, we'll see you guys then.
Bye.